Everybody's ready but you?
No, we're live.
It's about time. Tried to get you to go on for like 20 minutes.
We didn't even have no dun 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 or anything.
No,
I want like Superman theme or something.
no intro on the live. We just go live.
Well, we're making an intro for just live before long.
Okay.
I want like the Lone Ranger theme or something.
How y'all doing? Roger, Greg, Al, Squirrel, Kumbo. How is it?
Excuse me.
Hey, everybody.
Hey,
Hey, everybody in chat.
I can't see.
Let me get over here where we can say some comments here. Look here.
Kumbo was trying to kill a damn armadillo about 30 minutes ago.
We don't have them
right.
here. Not
I
really
missed the damn
in
thing.
my area.
Kumbo couldn't get the shotgun loaded in time.
How
Yeah.
did you mess with Mandela?
He's shooting a shotgun.
Well, first of all, the shotgun was locked up in the safe out there, and you know where it is.
Yeah.
And so I had to run out there, get the damn shotgun. Then I had to scrounge around and find some damn buckshot. And I found the buckshot. Then it was a new shotgun I was wanting to use. Then I had to figure out how to load the sumbitch. And then so I got it loaded. And I go out there. And I'm looking around. I find the armadillo. He's about 25 yards away. And I'm aiming at him. And this thing's got this shotgun, it's got the ghost ring rear sight and the fiber optic front sight. So I'm trying to hold the spotlight with one hand, and I turned the spotlight off and I couldn't see it. So I was hoping maybe the yard light would light it up. So I had to turn the spotlight back on. I'm aiming the spotlight at it, and the only thing I could get a rest in front of the shotgun on was my thumb sticking out. So I rested the shotgun on my thumb, put the damn fiber optic on the armadillo, and pulled the trigger. Boom! And it did just what right there. It blowed all this. It's some damn Spanish, made in Spain or made in Brazil or made in Argentina or someplace like that. Rio shotgun shells with batshit powder in it. And it blowed out such a big cloud of smoke, I couldn't see what happened to the armadillo. And,
It was just
the armadillo.
he was spraying.
I don't know when I had to duck down and run under the damn smoke, and when I looked, armadillo was gone. I looked all over the place, couldn't find it. That sucker opened up an extra large, super fast acting can of get the hell out of Dodge. So I don't know. First time I ever shot that shotgun, I should have grabbed my old Mossberg, and I'd have killed it with that thing.
I've got some of that Rio ammo I've never shot. I'm scared of it now.
Yeah.
Well, it's got some serious power to it. I mean, it kicked like a mule.
That is, that's the Native American Indian brand. You shoot it and then it sends smoke signals.
Yeah.
It was saying get out of the damn.
You know what that smoke signal said?
You missed.
You missed, sucker. Yeah.
Look on the stock of that shotgun and see if it's got initials that says PETA on it.
But well, it's one of these deals. I was up in Nashville, and I went to a pawn shop, and it was in there, and it was too good of a price. I just couldn't pass it up.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe there was a reason for that.
Do y'all when y'all go to Nashville? Do y'all go up I-65?
Yeah.
Yep.
You know where the corners? Well, you know where the Tennessee truck stop was at? Exit 22.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's where I
Sure
live. Right there, 5 miles from that.
Really?
Yep.
Really?
Yep. Y'all. Yep. We had a store actually at Exit 32 for 28 years, on up 10 miles north.
Yeah.
We were Exxon. We were Shell at first. I grew up doing that. So they widened that highway coming out of town.
What kind of store was it?
It was just a gas station. It was an Exxon right on the exit. For a long time, we were the only one. And they widened the highway and put us out of business in 08. Stuff to do.
Roger.
Yep.
This ain't no time for that. I have to drive mine there to see them. You got to drive your butt down there 2.5 hours. You got to drive. They come you got to come down there.
I wasn't too far away from them last Saturday.
Roger, how long does it take you to get into Decatur?
If I go down to across the river, Priceville, takes about 1:10. I used to work down there in Decatur.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, look, I told Misty and Sherry and Donna and Mr. Jim and all them, so they're gonna come down and hang out with me about a week. They're gonna be down next week from today. Dude, we got to get up. You got some free time. We're gonna have to meet up, maybe Decatur or something. Go out and eat and come on down, hang out with us or something.
All right. Yeah, I can't. You said next Saturday.
Yeah.
I can't do that next Saturday, but I might do it Sunday or.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're gonna be down here like 7-8 days.
They're going. They're on the weekend too.
Yeah, they'll be here like 8 days. They'll be here 2 weekends.
Okay.
If y'all are going out to eat, you got to go back to that place that Kumbo took us out to the last time. That was some good stuff.
What we'll do, Spencer, if we go there, we'll make everybody at the table. We'll get us one of them little placemat things and some crayons, and we'll color them and send them to you.
That guy that I put in the woodwalkers group that lives close to me now, when you told me where it was at, I contacted him. His name was Bill Hogue, and he said he thought he had talked to Mr. Kumbo a while back. Where was that at, Greg? You said it was across the river where he used to live? Yeah,
he's going. If he lives, the way I understood, if he's across on where he was at was on the north side of the river.
Yeah,
he's real close to Rogersville. I mean, it's going to be about close to where Kumbo used to live, just on the north side of the river from Kumbo's farm now.
Well, Greg, you know where that Mopar junkyard is? It still down there in Rogersville?
I don't know.
Yeah, it was a good one. I don't know if it's still there or not.
Oh, what kind of junkyard?
No, I didn't hear you.
You say it was a Mopar junkyard?
Yeah.
Yeah, that used to be up sort of northeast of Athens, if I remember right.
Yep. I think the road ended. If I was heading south, wouldn't it come out close to Wheeler?
Probably.
Down there to Hardy's, right there.
Yeah.
72 maybe.
Roger, that if you've been across Wheeler Dam, right? You went across on the little narrow, you know how it'll suck your ass in and pucker your butt when you go across Wheeler Dam.
Yeah, I used to fish down there below it.
Yeah, well, look, where on the below side of it, you can stand on the point at Kumbo's farm and look, and it's 6 miles. You can see Wheeler Dam from his farm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if you fish below the dam, you fished right in front of Kumbo's farm.
Well, we were on the north side of the river. Y'all remember when they used to allow you to get those huge treble hooks and snatch below the dam?
Oh yeah.
We would go down there and do that, man. You liable to hook into anything. You never knew what you were going to hook into down there.
Yeah, I've seen a few people get hooked doing that too.
I know one of my buddies got a right there in the tricep. It made that second turn, and
you can't.
It was a mess.
Treble hooks here no more.
Oh Lord,
really?
No.
You can't use treble hooks.
Not anymore.
Hey Greg.
Yeah.
Greg.
Yeah.
Elbow Al and wake his ass up.
He's over here. I'm right here. Look, he's still wide awake after what happened yesterday evening or last night. We got to the man cave and we had a visitor. We pulled up. We went to eat down here where me and you like to eat all the time. There, talk to town.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pull back up here to the man cave and I back up where I could hobble out on my crutches. By the time I get to the top of the ramp, waiting on him to come unlock the door, he come around the back of my truck and I seen him stop. And he starts looking into the woods right out the front toward the river.
Oh, towards the river.
Yeah, toward the river out that way. He's looking down off a hill. And you know where I told you Bailey had that walk up and was watching me and him put the metal on the house?
Yeah.
Looking there.
Exactly.
He pulled his flashlight out and just pulled it out and shined it at the woods. And he's like, oh, damn. I was like, what? He like looked at me. He said, damn thing's that eye was shining right there. And by the time he looked at me, looked back, it was gone. And I said, well, get your ass up here and get my cripple ass inside. Hell, I can't run. Get in open the door. So we got inside. We come in here. And man was in here, 10 minutes, 15?
Yeah, drilling those holes.
Yeah, we was putting up fixing the doorways on this man cave. We never did fix them, but we was peddling on that. Well, he stepped out on the small porch on the back here. He stepped out, and by the time he stepped out, he'd come right back in, and you tell him what happened.
He was talking on the phone to
Troy,
and I heard a and then I didn't pay any attention to it. The first one didn't bother me. And then the second one was more like a growl. Didn't bother me that bad. The third one got my attention real quick because it was real close. It was like right at the end of the building.
Oh, Lord.
Where the gas tank's at.
Well, they got a hammock there hanging off the back of that LP tank. They're there all the time.
Yeah.
I just stepped back to the door and turned to Greg and I said, that's messed up. What are you talking about? And I'm like, he's right there. I'm like, it just growled 3 times. And Greg's like, what are you talking about? Because I was shook. I don't get shook much, but that was way too close to be that vocal.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like a scary growl. It was like, "Urgh." And I was like, damn. I came back inside real quick. And Greg's looking at me like, what are you talking about? And I'm like,
and what was so damn funny was Troy. I had Troy on speakerphone, and he's hearing Al tell me what's going on. I mean, he's sitting there with us. And Troy's going, go back out there and whistle at him. Whistle to him. I said, hell no. I said, I told you I ain't whistling these bastards at night. Well, just whistle to him. No, I ain't doing it. No.
Then he's telling us, like, well, throw him a treat. Give him some food. I ain't feeding him.
Don't whistle at it.
Y'all, if Spencer disappears, he has something sneaking up on him, he thinks. So if he disappears, we just keep on going with the show.
Yeah. Everybody like that. We'll just keep going. Show must go on.
The YouTube channel will keep on going. Just y'all keep.
In all honesty, Kimbo, I don't get shook much. I've been in a lot of situations with Greg, but that guy, it was like really, really close last night. I mean, it wasn't 20 feet from where I was at to the gas tank, and it was behind the gas tank.
Yeah, that I swear they're there all the time. And but that little huff he gave you, that means you're close enough.
Yeah. And the part about the whole situation was we was hanging up curtains in here to cover the doors, and I had to go out to the Connex building in the back with Greg being crippled up. So he sitting on the porch out back while I walked to the Connex building, and Spencer and Misty's on the phone with him making fun of me.
Yeah. We're all on the phone. I mean, that's what it is. You got to have somebody to record it for posterity just to relay what happened. So they're listening to it. I hobble up on my crutches, and I'm sitting on the picnic table. Al brings I got an AR-15 rifle that's chambered in 7.62 by 39. So I had a 20-round mag in it, and I went ahead and shucked around in it. It's got a Surefire, about a $180 Surefire light on it. told Al, I said, all I can tell you is if I holler get down, that means get flat and skinny and hold on. But he made it out to the Connex building and back okay. So we got back inside and locked the doors. We didn't have nothing else happened. We figured sure lock on the wall.
For our listeners, what they don't know is to go to the Connex building from your porch, from the big porch, you got to walk right by that dadgum LP tank where the booger was.
Yeah,
you're walking within about 15 feet of it.
And that's the darkest end of the man cave is on that end.
Exactly.
And right behind Greg's storage building out there, Misty and Mark and I found footprints just like 3 months ago, 4 months ago, whatever it was.
There's 2 out there today. Just for shits and giggles. When I went out there this morning, there's 2 out there today.
Huh.
That's the location where we heard the audio where Misty was out on the porch and heard the knocks.
Yeah.
Mark.
Yeah.
She can't say anything.
That's all anybody remembers about that. Not the knocks, just the bathroom with Mark taking a shit. And I'm over here going, Mark.
Yeah.
Well,
Misty still holds that against Mark. Mark had a damn bathroom and Misty holds it.
I knew it was going to happen in like 30 seconds beforehand. I'm like, as soon as you leave, I know what's going to happen. You better hurry up and pinch that off.
Hey, if Mark had been in the bathroom with the door locked and that thing had been a little closer to Misty, Mark would have had her sitting in his lap. That would have been probably an uncomfortable moment.
So go ahead and finish. I'll be right here.
Third time's the charm.
when you're in there, when you're in there on the pot in that bathroom, that booger that's hiding out behind the LP tank ain't 10 feet from you. All he'd have to do is punch a hole through a little thin sheet of plywood and snatch your butt out of there.
Yeah, I think there was one come up the second night there and knew that I was in that room, that it had smacked on the wall.
Oh my God. Yeah. Not everything is about you. They don't always know who you are. It's not
Hey,
about
I wasn't telling the story. I'm just saying.
Misty, we know who they avoid.
No, y'all, listen, I'm telling on freaking Spencer. I don't care. You're just mad because
what now?
You wanted to hear one or see one so freaking bad. And as soon as your ass got up and walked off, it literally called like, what, Greg, maybe 30 yards, if that.
It wasn't far.
As soon as he walked in the house, he was the only one that didn't have anything happen that weekend.
Hey, he's also still mad at you, Misty, because you got the biggest booger rock.
Yeah.
Well, at least you wasn't cooking pot roast, Misty, and throw the potatoes out back.
Yeah.
Kumbo,
they'll snatch potatoes, won't they?
Kumbo was within 1 inch of dying because he gave Misty that booger rock first, and I was going to kill her with it. But,
hey, Misty, the only thing that gives Spencer comfort right now on the boogers avoiding him is he's convinced himself that they just realize that he's a really bad mofo and they're scared of him.
They are.
They're scared he's going to get started on politics.
He would. He'd be asking them how they're going to vote.
Yeah.
If you registered to vote,
You're a legal citizen. It don't matter.
Yeah. I just got to know how many's in your tribe and are all y'all registered to vote.
Shut up. It's important, damn it.
It is important, I agree. What are you going to do if you find out they're voting blue, Spencer? It's going to be bad.
Oh, my God, it's going to be bad. Everybody's going to die. Hold on. Just so everybody.
I can see it now. There's going to be a Bigfoot walk up with a Joe Biden heart sticker on him.
That'll be the end of the show.
Well, if that happens, I might have to break my rule and shoot one.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah.
Hold on. Just hold
So,
on.
okay, I got a question.
Hold on.
What? Hurry up. Nobody can hear you. So,
I just want to know, squirrel. What? We're not gonna say the live squirrel. We just gonna say the picture all night, or what?
I know,
yeah,
right?
this is what you get tonight. It's Spencer's fault. Like, I've been bush hogging literally all day. Went in,
Something?
found an 8 for the first time. And I think I got poison
Put a makeup on.
because you're like, are we gonna do a live tonight? And it was like 8:30 when you asked that. I was eating supper and hadn't even had a bath or anything. So
Well,
I asked Kumbo 30 minutes before we came on the show.
and slick my hair back and put on a clean shirt.
Hey, one of y'all
I smell like a hog pen.
One of y'all,
But
David Hughes.
and I just sat here and I've been eating my supper on the show.
Let's see, Spencer.
you're a better man than me, Chief Thunder Britches.
Yeah.
Hey, we're gonna have to see if Rebecca will make him one of them crochet loincloths like now Mark's got.
Just so
So,
the stuff that happened to Greg is only like, I don't even know, like 3-4 miles away from Greg's man cave. So everything that Greg's talking about with all the stuff that happened right there at his cave, it's real close to where everything happened with his original stuff.
It's all within 4 miles.
oh, everything's within. It won't be over 3 miles. And really, where we used to hunt through the woods is only about a mile, right at a mile, and where we hunt now is only a mile and a quarter. Now you saw what I was telling you. Did you see David Hughes? I want to comment back on David Hughes' comment there. He said everybody seems to vote blue, including dead folks. I'm telling you, that's what. As soon as Misty and Rebecca and them go back into the cemetery trying to have experience, that's what Spencer. He's gonna have a campaign sign that says "Quit voting blue." You tell them quit voting blue.
Whenever I die, I'm gonna have a registration booth right there at my grave, and
No
it's gonna sign up, but they'll only be like red tickets, not blue tickets.
I'm the only one trying to figure out what Kumbo's eating.
Did you ever send River a link?
Yes, I'm trying to figure out what Kumbo had for dinner.
That's what he's still eating. Good. I can't figure out what he's eating.
I don't know. He went and got seconds.
I had taco soup with sour cream and cheese in it and crunched up Frito scoops. And that's my Sandy's niece made it. And man, I'm telling you what, it is good. And I'm eating let me see if y'all can see this. Let's see here. A Hershey's triple chocolate cupcake thing.
I guess that's diet, ain't it? Is that diet?
Oh yeah, it's diet. Yeah.
Okay. I was wondering.
Yeah.
Sugar free.
Yeah. Hershey's triple. Mrs. Presley's Deluxe Hershey's triple chocolate cakes.
Hey, have y'all noticed that like the past 5 shows Kumbo's been on, he's been eating dinner in the middle of the shows?
Yeah. He's eating for 2.
He's starving me to death. Like literally, like Rebecca and Mark talked about ice cream for an hour last night, and I was sitting there eating no sweets nowhere, and I was like, God, I'm gonna have to have some ice cream. And now he's got chocolate.
I was
Smile real big.
The only reason he got the triple chocolate is because he couldn't find the quadruple chocolate.
You have to work your way up to that.
Yeah.
Well, see,
River.
I got the one over here still in the refrigerator, that's Sandy's, and I know I better not even look at that one.
Looks like River's in live chat.
Yes, River's in live chat. River, I sent you a message. Wait, I was talking to River this morning. Hey, buddy, I sent you a link. Get on the show. Even though we can't understand your Australian ass. Get on the show. Hey,
look here. I've talked to River enough now. I kind of figure out. I figure if he can understand my redneck talk, I can understand his Aboriginal a lot better than he can understand mine.
I told Rick, I was like, if you ever come to the state, we're gonna have like a meet and greet, everybody meet you, but somebody's gonna have to translate River.
Are you gonna tell him we're gonna get
Thanks for running.
We will get it.
Oh, we got it.
All right, we're getting the chat.
Yeah, that Rocky Road ice cream, that's my favorite.
Oh my God.
I love it.
That is.
Yeah, Rocky Road's good, but man, I like pistachio ice cream.
No.
Yeah,
Oh, that's good too.
Greg, me too. Yes.
I used to wouldn't eat it because of color. And then one day I was like, shit, I'm gonna try it. And I was like, oh my God, where's this been hiding?
I like the green ice creams. I like green chip too.
You like what?
Green mint chip and
Oh
pistachio.
yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah.
I'll tell you what's unbelievable good to me is a damn peanut butter milkshake.
Oh, nasty. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. That's
Peanut
nasty.
milkshake, man, golly. Mm.
Have you ever had a pumpkin milkshake? Like pumpkin ice cream?
Yeah, I can't cut pumpkin, dude.
No.
No.
No, the pumpkin is fun. Pumpkin.
I just soon take a big fat McDonald's straw and suck snot out of a cow's nose. I had to make pumpkin sauce.
I was going to say it sounds like something that damn somebody that's loved to Keith Whitley damn would say.
Greg, if you added pumpkin spice to that, you might be able to sell that.
I don't know. God,
Oh,
I can't cut spice and I can't cut the pumpkin, so I'm out on all that.
Yeah.
Roger, whenever we
Yes.
do the night live things, you just got to jump in, man. You can't wait. This isn't scripted.
I'm warming up. I know I'm yelling. My wife's probably thinking, "What the hell?"
You're not loud at all.
I'm not loud at all. I need to get closer.
No, I've got the mics all adjusted. I went in and set everybody up.
So it don't matter how loud I scream. I'm gonna be the same.
You do whatever you need to do.
Hey, Kumbo, you were saying earlier you saw eye shine on your property this past week or last week or something.
Mm-hmm. Right there, and I saw it 2 times. I saw it like on saw it about the middle of last week. Probably about Wednesday or so over in the old booger tree. Just one. But it was about 2/3 of the way up in the tree, 2/3, 3. It was up in there pretty far. But I could see, I mean, that's 500 and something yards. But I could still see 2 eyes. So that tells me those eyes were 6-8 inches apart at least. So that's a big creature.
Right.
For you to be with a naked eye, be able to see 2 eyeballs reflecting from that far away. Because when I see coyotes over there, all you see is just one thing. You can't differentiate the 2 eyes unless you're looking through a rifle scope or something.
Tell them what you've done about going around that draw coming up behind your barn.
Well, hang on just a second. And then Saturday night, I was out there with the dogs, and they were doing their business, and they got to looking. They went down to the edge of the field, and normally they love to go out in that cornfield. And they'll go up, 100, 150, sometimes 200 yards out in that cornfield, messing around. They went right to the edge of the field and stopped. And they were looking over at those trees, that big tree, Spencer, where you caught the 3 on thermal.
Yeah.
And they were just standing there looking. Well, I clicked on the spotlight and shined over there. There was one looking back at me from about probably 15, 20 feet off the ground. And there was another one on up in the tree, probably about 40, maybe 45 feet. And again, that's 300 yards, 300 and something yards over there, and I could clearly see both eyes on both of them, and differentiate. And which, tells me it's, that's a pretty good sized creature.
It's something big. Yeah.
It's something big. Yeah. And I could clearly see eyes that were, 6-8 inches apart. So, and the dogs would not go out that way to do their business. So I had to take them back over towards Granny's house. Now, 2 afternoons ago, and this is during the daylight. And this was I've been having some I'm clearing some hedgerows out and make room to build a house. Or put in a modular home or a barn-dominium or whatever. Anyway, so I was talking, I'd been talking to the guy that's running the track hoe about clearing out some of the brush down around our old barn down there. And well, I thought I had the dogs with me. And I thought, well, I'm just going. The guy running the track hoe had already gone home. I said, I'm just going to walk down there and look around. And this was around 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Still, way daylight. And I start down the hill towards the barn, and Niffy's out in front of me. And Niffy's probably 30 yards in front of me, and Jake and Joe are walking beside me. And Niffy gets about 30 yards from the barn, which would have put me probably about maybe 45, 50 yards from the barn. And no, actually, Niffy was about 25 yards, and all of a sudden, when it first started, I thought I couldn't believe what I was hearing, but it went on. It was a long sort of a little bit longer than that even. And came out of that barn, and Niffy slammed on the brakes and whirled around, and she and Joe took off to the house. Jake stayed right there with me, and I said, okay, we won't bother. Well, we're not going to bother you. And we turned around and backed off. But, we've known for a while that they were hanging out in that old barn. But it was probably the old one-eyed one that hangs around a bunch. I would guess. But he was definitely warning, Niffy, and probably also me, not to come any closer. Because we were planning on going down there, and he had cleared a little bit of he had knocked down some of the old timber that was and cleared away some old deadfalls that were just to the northeast of the barn. Excuse me, not northeast, southwest of the barn. So, like I said, we were going to go down there, and I'm just going to look in there. But yeah, there was definitely one in there, and that's one of the few times I've been growled at like that in the daylight.
Kumba, you're one of the only people I've ever met that is like, yes, there are definitely boogers on this property.
Yeah,
and we're going to build a house here.
Yeah, well, hey, I'm sitting here right now, and in temporary quarters there in my sister's place, and there's boogers out here most every night. And I grew up with them, Spencer. I knew about them from the time I was old enough to know about anything. And saw my first one close up, face to face, about 6 feet away when I was 4 years old.
Hey,
and
Robert Dubin.
Hey.
Robert Den Dubin. Okay, I live east of Muscle Shoals, Alabama.
There you go. Chief Thunder Britches is building a new home right on
damn tongue twister.
Yeah.
Near Muscle.
How close have you been to one eye?
To what?
How close have you been to one eye?
That one-eyed one, Odin, you call it.
Oh, Odin.
Closer than he wanted to.
I haven't. The closest I haven't been that close to him that I knew for sure it was him. I've been within been within 40 yards of him.
Well,
Something like that. Maybe 40, 45 yards.
The night you took the dogs out without your gun with you, he was in the hedgerow or push up.
Yeah. Actually, well, you're right. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, I was a lot closer then. I was probably within 50 to 60 feet of him then. Yeah. I'd forgotten about that. Yeah.
Well, Mo, that's what's so funny. Like with me and Al, and like with you and maybe Troy and some of us, people don't realize. I mean, a lot of people, they have one encounter in their entire life, or maybe a couple.
Mm-hmm.
You've had as many as we have. It kind of runs together sometimes.
It does, and you forget some of them.
Yeah.
But heck, that was the night he was up on the porch.
Yeah.
And I came home from work, and when I turned in the driveway, my high beams lit him up. He was on the porch messing with the doorknob, trying to figure out how to open the screen door.
Well, if you'll remember, you was on the phone with me when you rounded the corner.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. And I was a little bit shocked one night.
Yeah.
And that son gun, and he was the porch the lean-to of the porch is pretty low at that point, and he was all hunkered over like this, leaned way over, so he could get underneath there.
What?
And he was what was funny, he wasn't leaned over front ways, he was leaned over sideways.
Wait.
And
Roger.
and,
Yeah.
Roger.
Yeah.
Kumbo is building a house where a booger was trying to get into the screen porch on the front of his. Does that make sense to you?
I don't know. I don't know how I would react, but if it was a place where I lived, I don't know. It scares me because I live in a small country town, and
you're not supposed to answer it serious, Roger. You're supposed to tell Kumbo that he's crazy.
Well, I kind of thought that a little bit, but I didn't want to. This is my first time here. I don't want him to vote me out off the island, right?
Right. Now look, this is being questioned from the same guy that's wanting me to carry him and Misty and Mark Noble down there and drop them off and leave them and let them count
by a creek.
Yeah, on the river where I've had all these encounters, and where me and Mark Green found the campsite tore all to pieces. Yeah.
We ain't building a cabin down there.
The only thing in all the years that I've been out here, we've only had one real. I've been screamed at, yelled at, growled at, rocks thrown around me. Big limbs broke, trees pushed down, all that kind of stuff out here. But I've never had one of them. I've never had one out here that I thought that it was fixing to kill me. And I've run into some pretty violent ones in other places, but I think that they're so used to coexisting, with our family out here for generations, that they they like to come around and they like to get in the garbage cans. They like to, poke around, see what's going on. And, when we have that one, when he was trying to get on the porch, I had a puppy in the house that was whining. And I had a little puppy in a kennel box, and she was whining. And I'm thinking, there's an easy meal. That's a surefire noise to attract predators. Is a puppy, whining noise. In fact, that's one of the main things. If you're a coyote or a varmint hunter, then you buy one of these one of these electronic collars that are preloaded with different kind of sounds.
Yes.
a crying puppy is one of the number one things, and that's what was going on in the house was it was a puppy crying right inside the door in a kennel.
What?
And so he was just going to see if he could figure out how to get in there and get him a free meal.
Kumbo.
Yeah.
Shut up, Spencer.
No, I got a serious question. You shut up, Misty.
Children.
Kumbo.
Go ahead.
You've been around the country looking for these things. Where were you whenever they were the most aggressive? Where do you think they're the most aggressive at?
Well, there's some bad ones down in Mississippi in a couple of places. The only time we've ever been totally stopped and turned around and at the time where we were getting the largest rocks thrown at us. Well, I don't know. That time out on the Causeway in Oklahoma, those are some big, huge rocks. But we were getting basketball size rocks thrown really close to us in a place out in New Mexico on the Mescalero Apache Reservation. And on an area that we had permission to go into. And they were coming at us from two directions from a pretty good distance away. So it definitely wasn't, people up there throwing these basketballs, soccer ball and basketball size rocks. And a couple of them are watermelon sized. And we had to turn around and get out of there. We couldn't go any further. And then down in like I said, I've run into some belligerent ones in Oklahoma. But I've also run into some that just came right up to us in the dark, and if we hadn't had thermals, we'd have never known they were there. And I mean, they were just, just 20 feet or less from us. And I know place out there in West Oklahoma. I can't remember what they call that area, but I know we drove through a little town called Hitchcock, getting out there, and went out west of Hitchcock out in the oil fields. And we ran into some type 3 boogers out there. And that's the baboon-headed ones, they're snouted ones that look like the beast of 7 shoots. Some people say they're gugways. Those things were bad. And I've got chili bumps all over him. I mean, just talking about that. We got out in an area there where the guy that drove the pump out truck, a lot of the, most oil wells, they pump into a holding tank. And then depending on how often the thing gets full, the guys drive in there in what they call a pump out truck, and they pump out the holding tank and then take it to the refinery. And we were on an oil field where the pump out drivers had been seeing a lot of these Bigfoot, but they, a couple of them had said these don't look like the Bigfoots that you normally see. And they look like dog heads or baboon heads or something. And one of the guys sent me a picture of one of them's tracks that he actually watched the thing walk off when he drove up in the snow. And this thing had clawed toes, and it was 3-toed. Mm. And this is the really crazy thing. The track was about 21 inches long. Oh shit. So it was a big one. It was a massive one. And then we ran into some more of them down in northeast Texas, not too far from Jefferson, Texas, near the Lake of the Pines. I think it's what the name of the big lake down there.
Yes.
But yeah, it was. But I've run into them in different places. That definitely scared me. As bad as LBL is, we've left some places just because we got an overwhelming sense of dread that we were in tremendous danger. I mean, all of us did. And a couple of those times we hadn't seen or heard a thing. But that's the thing. It was just totally quiet, and just the danger was just oppressive. And we've left. The time I feared for my life the most, I guess, was probably in Mississippi down there when we found AP Road, and the three of them charged Sammy and I.
Oh yes.
And I don't know what would have happened if we hadn't had our shotguns in our hands. We backed up against the front of the truck, and they were so close on us so fast, we were scared to turn our backs on them enough, and break our concentration enough, even to try to get into the truck, even to back away and get into the truck. And so we just backed up we were right in front of the truck, so we just backed up against my brush guard and had our shotguns up, and we chambered rounds, and both Sammy and I were standing there. We had the safeties off, and our fingers were on the trigger. Our fingers were not on the side of the receiver. Our fingers were on the trigger, in the trigger. And those things were on us so fast that it was we didn't really have time to prepare. And it was we had sort of a little Mexican standoff there with three of them. And this is in the daylight now. This is at about 4:30 in the afternoon. And we had a stare down, probably lasted 30 seconds or so. And they finally, the one that we took to be the alpha, he grumbled and growled a little bit, and they turned around and walked off. The thing about it is they didn't go very far. They only went back, and I think that they are aware of what guns can do. Mm-hmm. And I know you have less success when you're out, poking around and, trying to find them. You have a lot less success when you got guns in your hands.
Yep. I know for a fact they figured out that what you're holding is a weapon. They may not know exactly how it works, but they know it makes a loud racket and blows smoke out and fire, and whatever's out in front of it gets harmed or killed. I've done had them charging in on me, and if I hadn't got a rifle, I don't know what would happen. I mean, I really don't. I can tell you, they'll slam on brakes, or they did me. Yeah, they know that a gun is some type of weapon. That's
they know it can hurt them.
Yep.
Now, in the real world, I think if it came down to it, and those three, like the instance that Sammy and I got in, if they'd have come on, I think we'd have gotten a shot. We'd have gotten 2 shots off, and that's probably about it. And they'd have been on us so fast, and it wouldn't have stopped. What we could have done would not have stopped them. So, they'd have been on us so fast that, faster than we could chuck the second round in the chamber and pull the trigger.
Tell me that the shotgun you had tonight on the posse or the armadillo or whatever wasn't the same gun you was holding then.
No, it was not.
Okay.
No, this one I got now is a semi-auto.
Okay.
So he knows next time when he shoots, run, the smoke will hide him for a few minutes.
That's it. I smoke.
Yeah.
That's one
I tell you one thing. I've got a different brand of buckshot, but I didn't. I don't know where it is. But I had found that Rio stuff on sale up there in Nashville, and at a shop, and I bought 4 or 5 boxes of it, and I never had shot that stuff before. I had no idea, but I know it's not any good for shooting anything at night.
Wow.
If you got a light, trying to see with a light.
You either missed it completely or you just incinerated it. It's one or the other.
No, I've shot them before, and I think I missed it clean because I didn't find any blood or anything. They'll leave a blood trail.
I got a question for y'all guys that are more experienced. So where we've been having our experiences, I guess we caught that on audio. We had I don't know, a couple months ago, we had something walked out in the field with us. We had a fire going. There was 4 of us there, my son, his girlfriend, my wife, and something just walked out and screamed. And it wasn't a cat. It sounded almost male, almost human. And the only thing I can make sense, I've never heard a juvenile. And last 2 weekends ago, it had rained here, and I'm getting hard of hearing. And I was on my side of the truck, and I cupped like this, and I could hear crickets and frogs. But while I was doing that, I could hear the how the rain, the drops will drop on the other leaves. You can hear it. I heard not a whoop, but 2 whoop, whoop, high pitched, and then immediately 20 yards away or so, in front of this thing that made that noise, there was a 2 answer grunt, like that, and of course it was deeper. And some of the sounds that we caught on audio, that howl that it was caught 4 times was all farther, and it was higher pitched. The one that was closer to us, about 50 yards just out of sight, that was throwing boulders and slapping, limbs up against trees and stuff. It had that deeper.
Hey, flat rock.
But have y'all had experience with juveniles or?
Yeah.
Oh, with the sounds.
Oh yeah, they and a lot of times they'll do stuff that sounds sort of crazy because they're sort of learning some of the stuff. But the call you described that you first heard that was sort of high pitched, was that sort of a real quick sort of a whoop whoop? But
it's more like it's kind of. It reminds. I know this is crazy, but growing up in the country, you're right. When little roosters start learning how to crow, this is more of a broken,
real
like
real high. Yeah, and sort of scratchy sounding.
Yeah, it's like it was trying, and the only thing that I can make this make sense, because we've heard these different voices several times now. Is maybe it was a young one, and the answer was from one of the older ones, like "Shut up, they're here," like stop, because a mom or a dad instantly like stop, a human, and it was instant. It was instant. Two grunts, and so I've been thinking about this, and the only thing that makes sense to me is that we may have a smaller one out there, with an older one.
Our friend Peck White over in Georgia, he comes over here and goes on that, goes do stuff. We were camped out here on the farm. There's an area back on our farm where I'm sure it's like a nursery, and we don't go back there very much because when you do, either it's dead quiet and you feel like that something's fixing to tear your head off any instant, or they'll just flat out scream at you, unbelievable loud, unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, they've stopped us from coon hunting out there several times at night. They've screamed at us during the day, and Greg will tell you it's creepy as hell. And we got a fire break road that goes down through there, and I have to keep it bush hogged. I have to keep a 20-foot strip cleared out down through the woods. And buddy, I hate going down there. It's creepy as hell. And I mean, in the middle of the day, it's creepy as hell.
Well, I'm gonna get my son to watch this because what you just did.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna tell him. I'm gonna say you watch when he answers my question because it sent people to the truck. It wasn't like, hey, did you hear that? And it sounded almost like what you just did.
Yeah. And wow. I remember there was an old gentleman that used to coon hunt with us, and I never knew his whole name. We just called him Gifford. And we were down there one night, and I had my son and my daughter with me, and they were fairly young then. and the dogs, we'd let the dogs out over on the road going to the point, and which is where we camp a lot and everything. But the boogers always come up there and mess with us. They throw rocks in there, and they tried to catch my dog and have him for supper one afternoon last year, and Joe. I had a young German Shepherd, Joe, that wasn't booger savvy at that time. He got savvy pretty quick though. But I missed that last question. It was just up. But anyway, we let the dogs out, and they just happened to make a circle over in that direction towards that next ridge to the west. And buddy, and they went over there, but then all of a sudden here they come back and run, and one of them jumps back up in the back of the truck and goes in the dog box. The other one goes under the truck.
Oh.
Well, old Bird, the guy that owned the dogs, he was PO'd and got the dogs out and recast them. Well, for some reason, the dogs circled back around and went back over in that area again. And then here they come running back, did the same thing. And then we're like, well, what's the matter with those dogs? And about that time, coming from the direction that the dogs came from, we got that ungodly scream. Scared my kids to death. And Mr. Gifford, at that time, he was about the age, maybe a little bit older than I am now. He's probably around 70. And he says, let's get the kids in the truck. It's time to go.
Yeah, been there.
And, but anyway, our buddy Peck White, he's got some good recording equipment, and we were camped out on the point one night, and he had a drop box out in the woods, and over sort of in the direction of that ridge, where I think that's sort of their nursery area. And listening to the tape, about a week or so later, there was a deal where you could clearly heard, ah, ah. It was like a little baby or something that was hungry, and but you hear that, ah, ah, like that, and all of a sudden you hear, grr, and that little thing shut up. You didn't hear another sound out of it.
Oh.
And that's one of the best recordings that we've got. I mean, it's like the baby's crying and daddy or mama says, hush.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is that little baby knew to hush.
Well, after you hear things like that, and you think you the next day you're thinking, even a couple of days later,
yeah,
it hit me. Well, what if it was a younger one? And I know Spencer probably does it to his kids. I've done it to mine. They'll say something, you instantly like, hey, hush, stop it. Yep. And that's kind of what this sounded like. Like, stop.
Yeah.
Roger, that's what always bothered me here was I was afraid that I was going to get between a big one and some young ones.
Yeah.
Just to me, that wouldn't be the place to be. That's what I was worried about.
Right.
And it never dawned on me. I'm new at this. It never dawned on me that there might be a little one out there.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, me and a boy named Mike, crap, how can I forget his name? He's passed away. Mike.
Come out from Alabama?
No, he lived up in Tennessee. He worked for Russell Stover Candies. He was like a plant manager or something for Russell Stover. Mike Stuckey.
About a man down.
Yeah, Mike Stuckey. And we were we were down in Mississippi in a wildlife management area, in an area where the hunters had been run out of the woods, and more than one time, and where there used to be a little camping area down there and a picnic area, but there'd been so much crap going on that it was abandoned. There was nothing down there anymore. And but we went down there, and this is in the days before we had thermal imagers and night vision scopes that had recording capability on them. But Mike had a really good, like a Gen 3 night vision scope. And he had some real good recording equipment. He says, I think he had it rigged. He had some kind of a small little screen that was about the size of a, maybe 5 by 8, about the size of this, by, I don't know, whatever size this index card is. Somehow he had it rigged up where that thing was displaying what the night vision scope was seeing. And he had it rigged up so he could raise it up out of the truck window and then scan it around, move it around. And he had a little rig. I think it clipped onto the window, top of the window or something like that. Anyway, he was moving that thing around, and we were down there in that old abandoned picnic area, campground area. And he says, Tim, look at this. He caught on that thing a big one and a little one coming down the hill towards us. Really, yes. And this I get the chilly bumps again. But this thing, it came down, and there was a big, what we call a sweet shrub bush there on, and they came up behind that sweet shrub, and we're sitting there looking at that, and both Mike and I saw the big one sort of push the little one in the back out from behind that bush. And I think it was teaching them how to sneak up on us.
Yes.
And it came easing around. It eased along the north boundary of the campground. And there was some more sweet shrub or something like that at the northwest corner. It got in behind that. And in the meantime, we kept looking back over there at Daddy or Mama. We sort of figured it was Daddy. We kept looking there, and he was just standing there, standing still behind that sweet shrub bush. And he was tall enough, he was head and shoulders above it. He was just standing there. And the other one, the little one, he got underneath, he got in behind those other bushes, and he crouched down, and he sort of crawled underneath that thing. And he eased up a little closer to us, and he got in behind a tree, and he stood up behind this tree. And we're sitting there looking, and Mike kept swinging the thing back and forth between the little one and the big one. And I don't know what happened, but I think the big one saw that thing all of a sudden, and I don't know what he thought, but all of a sudden the little one was working its way, going from tree to tree, working its way towards us. He was still a good 40 yards from us, but we could clearly see him when he would move. And all of a sudden the big one goes, Urgh. So it was more guttural, more nasal sounding than that. I can't reproduce the sound. And it was more like almost like a big hog, like a grunt you would hear from a big boar hog or something. But it was sort of or I can't imitate it very well.
Yeah,
made that noise, and that little one instantly turned around and just as fast as it could go went back to Daddy, and they walked back up the hill the way they came. Now, we've pondered for years, what the outcome of that would have been if it hadn't have, seen whatever it was that caused it to call the little one back. I don't know if the goal was for him to sneak up, get right up behind our truck, or throw a rock against it, or sneak along and all of a sudden stick his head up in the window and look at us. I have no idea, but that was a pretty special thing to be able to watch that. Now, like I said, unfortunately, we had nothing then to record it with. I've always wondered if we could have rigged up and somehow. I had way back then. I had a VCR modified to record audio, and I wondered if we could have gotten some kind of an output or rigged it up to put that into a VCR. But like I said, this is way back yonder. This is back in the late '90s, and
that wasn't that long ago.
I know, but technology-wise, that was a long time ago.
I know it don't seem like it was, but it was.
Yeah, I remember my cell phone back then was one of those big old bag phones, and that son of a gun would talk a long ways though.
Yeah, battery weight 3 or 4 pounds.
Yeah, exactly. And I've seen weird stuff like that, but I know that I know for a fact that the booger, the juvies practice sneaking up on us. I've heard them when they're trying to do infrasound, and it's just like a kid trying to sing bass. Their voice will be breaking, and they can't hit those low notes, and just like a adolescent kid trying to sing low notes.
What?
But I've heard them trying to do infrasound, but they can't get quite low enough, and that's when you'll hear this sort of a real low pitched sort of a.
Oh my God!
Something like that.
Oh, we heard something like that night.
And that's the juvies trying to do infrasound, but they can't. Their voice won't let them go low enough.
I thought it was a truck way off at first, and everybody's like, "No, that was just right over here." Oh
no, it's that's juvies trying to do infrasound.
What?
And we've actually we actually got some recordings one time. We've got recordings of this, of one sneaking up on the tent. Me and Troy and Troy's friend Steve and had my little German Shepherd Zara were in the tent. We were running our mouths, and Peck's Dropbox picked up the one of them sneaking up on us, and it gets up close and it starts trying to do infrasound. Zara hears it and she starts barking. You hear her, woof, woof. She starts barking and it takes off running, and it runs right by Peck's Dropbox, and it sounds like the recording. You hear a train going by, and that's the way this thing running does. You hear it coming, and you hear the steps, and then you hear it go right by the Dropbox, and it the pitch changes. But we've also got them up there at we got some wonderful recordings up at DeSoto State Park one time there in Northeast Alabama.
At the falls?
We were not at the falls. We were at the primitive campground.
Okay. Oh, I've been up on that ridge across there.
Yeah. We were.
River said he's backstage.
I know.
I didn't see him.
Who is?
River Morris from Australia.
Yeah.
What it is, you scolded. Missy, you scolded Spencer so bad for interrupting a while ago. He's afraid to do anything.
Well, let's bring him in.
We don't see him.
I don't see him. Hey, Kumbo.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I heard you talk one time about running through a campground and hit.
Yeah. That's up in a campground up in the Smoky Mountains, and they were on an area along the Appalachian Trail. They were having trouble with boogers, pretty serious trouble with boogers harassing some hikers and campers. And they actually had a, quote, military training exercise up there on that section of the trail. And they used the local law enforcement to close down the roads and stuff like that. And they got a whole bunch of military guys, and they went up through there, and at one point it sounded like a war broke out. But I had a friend that was a pretty good friend that was a deputy sheriff in the Sevier County Sheriff's Department, and he called me and asked me if I could get my butt up there, and I did. I got on up there. Anyway, he was friends with a lot of rangers and stuff up there. There was a lady ranger that managed one of these, the area in and around a pretty good sized campground. She was very, very, very upset, and she wanted to see me. And she was afraid that they were going to come in there and kill the boogers that hung around that campground. And this is dead serious now. She was very afraid of it, that they were going to kill her boogers.
Wow.
And so I went and talked to her, and and when we got around to it, well, what are they doing? Why do you think that they want to kill them? He said, well, they run through periodically about every, week and a half to 2 weeks. They run through the camp. They'll run through the campground, making a big ruckus. And she says that not very many people ever see them when they run through the first time, but then they run out in this field and hunker down out in this bearberry patch, and they'll hang around out there. And then we'll hear them, and they'll be talking back and forth. And then here they come back. And when they come back, there's almost always somebody that sees at least one of them. Sometimes they'll see, and I said, well, how many are there? And she said somewhere, usually between 3 and 5. She said most often 4 or 5. And she said what they do, she said about 1 o'clock in the morning, sometimes 1:30, 1 to 1:30, she'll hear them up on the side of this like a foothill, I guess you'd call it. But, down here it'd be called a mountain. But she'll hear them up there, and she'll hear them talking back and forth. And she said, they're talking, but you can't hear them now. And I said, does it sound sort of like, yeah. And she said, I can tell which individuals ones. They got different tones of voice. I said, yeah. And she said, then all of a sudden, one of them will take off running and come through the camp wide open running, and it'll slap the sides of trailers, knock over garbage cans, or she said, sometimes people will have garbage cans out there. They'll knock them over. They'll slap the side of the dumpster. And there was a kiosk there in the campground. It's got at that time had a bunch of little maps and things and stuff for other things in the area. They'll hit that, and then right behind them the other ones will come. And she said once they clear the campground, she said, do they laugh? And I said, yeah, they laugh. And she said, well, what does it sound like? I said, sometimes they'll go like that, sound so almost like a hyena. And other times you'll hear them, sort of like that. She said, yeah, I've heard both of those. And she said they run over there and get in behind that berry patch, and then they'll hear them over there again, and then here they come back. And she said when they come back, they make even more racket. and they run off back up in the woods. And she said you can hear them laughing as they're running off. And I said, and she said, why do they not do it all the time? I said, because they're only in this area periodically. You know, they've got this is in their area, but they travel around. They've got a big route that they travel around through the area, and they're only back here about every week and a half to 2 weeks. And I said, that's very, very common for troops of boogers. And she said, but they're not real big. And I said, that's the stuff that juvies do. I said, it's just like what we used to do when we were kids, out raising cane and ringing people's doorbells and running and stuff like that, or running across the road and somebody diving in the bushes on the other side. And
that's scary looking.
Hey,
Lord have mercy.
I'll run back away from the camera a little bit.
Yeah, I run up on something like that in the woods. It's fixing to get ventilated.
Yeah. Lord have mercy.
Yeah. That looks like some of them girls that went to prom when I did.
That does look like some of those Winston County girls.
Yeah.
Hey, they drink that moonshine, they'd be all right.
Yeah. Why do you think we got moonshine?
Well, that looks like somebody. That looks like it's been drinking some of that radiator stuff. That radiator moonshine.
That's one of them 3-pint girls. You got the 1 pint to warm you up, and the 2-pint looks good. Then you got them 3-pinters. You just hope that you limit to perform.
That's a couple 40 ounces of that steel reserve stuff.
Yeah.
River, what are you doing, man? River.
I think he froze up.
Uh-oh.
Man.
There he is. Hey, River.
Yeah, River, we can't hear you, man. Go out and come back in or something.
Golly.
River, go out and come back in.
He froze again.
And hey, thanks for the answers. That helps me a lot. I appreciate it.
Roger, just wait. You're talking about, think it's a juvenile.
Yeah.
The thing will tell you that it's juvenile. Wait till you're in the woods and you hear sounds like kids playing and laughing and giggling, but they're crashing through the woods and running through a thicket where you and I can't go. And they're good, and you're running across the hillside back.
Well, I've heard on 2 separate occasions during the day, sound like a woman laughing.
Yeah.
Y'all giving me the chilly bumps now.
Yeah.
Woo, Lord.
Dude, I listened to at least 3, and I'm not sure they wasn't 4. They was on a ridge just out from where I was at in the stand. I was out in the field, and it goes up this hill. Just out of the edge of the field, it goes up a hill, and it's small pines. Man, they would giggle, and then one they'd chuckle, and then they'd laugh. And it was like one of them would jabber, and the rest of them would just die laughing, and they'd run, sound like kids playing tag. But it was in a grown up thicket full of briars and honeysuckles and little pine saplings. I mean, just a jungle of shit. And we're a mile from anything way off in the woods, and there ain't no way in or out of there but up through the woods. And dude, I mean, it's rough. I'm not bad rough. And it was, probably I'd say between 25 and 30 degrees. And this is like 15 minutes before dark. And I mean, I'm listening. It sounds like kids playing. I mean, there wasn't no kids down there. There was not no human kids down there in them woods.
No.
So this is the first time we ever had a fire there. And I bet you the whole time they've owned the place, nobody's ever done that at midnight. And whatever this thing was, it came out in the field. It was directly behind me in the dark, about 40 yards, maybe 50. And Peyton is looking that way. He's talking to me. And when it screams out, his girlfriend takes off to the truck, and I look up at him. I said, "Can you see it?" He said, "No." And I said, "I'm fixing to come up. I'm going to the left. I'll go this way. You take that way, and I'm gonna hit this 2,000 lumen flashlight." And there was nothing. So I'm maybe we irritated it, or I I don't know why it did that. I don't know why it came out, because it wasn't in the woods. It was out there.
They will. I've had them. We were we were down on the Natchez Trace one time at a certain place near there's a pull off area where there's picnic tables. There's some ponds and stuff you can fish in. And we were down there, and we were we were being pretty loud and stuff, and making a bunch of racket. And all of a sudden, we hear something go whizzing by over us, and a big sploosh out in the pond. What in the hell, you know? And then, and we thought, well, what was that, you know? But then we went on and got back being noisy again. And all of a sudden, we hear, this time it comes and you can hear this thing fly past us and sploosh hitting the pond over there. I said, something's going. I said, somebody's throwing something at us. And I had the best light we had back then. I had one of them old 5 or 6 D cell mag lights, and I had put a xenon bulb in it. Greg knows what I'm talking about. They don't make them anymore. And that
was my protection when I worked at the jail.
Yeah. And I turned that thing on, and I could just barely see. I saw eye shine out there, but it was out from the woods probably 20 or 30 yards. And when I put the light on, that son of a gun screamed, and it about blew our hats off. This thing was over 200 yards away. And it was throwing baseball and softball sized rocks over our heads and past us.
Wow.
And I figure it did it because we were disturbing it. We were making too much racket.
Yeah.
All right. Last week, I was out here in the garage, and I was out there at, 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, running a skill saw, and I found my sister's old boom box there in the garage, and I turned that thing on. It was Saturday night. I didn't see what she said about Coonbo Speaks.
But, says Spencer gets quiet and she thanked you.
Thanks, Coonbo. Anyway, I found this, boom box or ghetto blaster, whatever you want to call it, there in the garage. And I plugged that dude in, and the only station the thing would pick up was Saturday night at the Oldies on WQLT, 107.3. And they were playing some good music. I had it turned up pretty loud. And and it was sitting right there by the garage door, sort of blowing out in the yard. And this is about 10 minutes before midnight. Like I said, I've been running a skill saw, and I'm down there with the drill, running screws in this thing I was building. And all of a sudden, I hear this come from the hedgerow. About, Greg, how far? Well, hell, it's the edge of the hedgerow is 70 feet away.
Yeah.
And it's the length of the house there is 70 feet away, and the hedgerow right there is not but about 6 feet through to the other side. It's nothing but it's under the power line. They keep it clipped. There's nothing there but some privet hedges grown up. And I said, and you know how you hear things. Did I really hear what I thought I heard? Nah.
Yeah.
And I just went on working. About 10 minutes later, and I said, by God, I did hear that. And I said, well, let me get to all I got to do is get these last 2 boards on. I got about 12 screws I need to drive. The big old long 3-inch screws. I'm running stuff into putting 2x6s together and stuff. And so I'm running them in, and about that time I got the last one, and it cut loose again, even louder. And I said, it's time to go in the house. And I got up, first thing I did is I turned off that dadgum boom box, and And then I realized, I said, "Where's my gun? Where's my gun?" And I'm feeling around, looking for my gun, and it was laying up on top of of a boat engine there. And I grabbed that thing and got my spotlight and I closed everything up, shut off all the lights, closed everything, locked up, turned the fan off and everything. And I very cautiously walked it's about 50, 60 feet to the porch stairs steps. But there was one, he was letting me know that he didn't like me out there disturbing the peace. And I got screamed at down in Mississippi for mowing the grass, about 9:30 at night. And there's several reports out there of people getting disappearing off of tractors and things.
Yeah.
And I remember one that Mary Green investigated.
We had River there for a second, but I think he's having an earthquake.
I don't know what he's doing. River.
Hey, River, can you hear us?
River.
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yeah, somewhat.
Can you hear me?
Cut down a little bit.
Yeah, I can hear you. Hey.
Hey, man.
Hey.
Maybe we can hear you.
Can you hear me? I can hear you.
Okay. It's like you're muffled or something.
River, we can't hear you. You're messing up. Something is wrong with the microphone.
It's like the mic's too high.
Yeah, it sounds like the microphone is clipping.
There he is.
Oh.
I still see you're behind. That's lagging. You're 2 or 3 minutes behind. We're gonna have to get us some long cord and some soup cans.
I was talking to River this morning, and it was
Right. Can you hear me now?
not really.
Not good. I mean, y'all ain't about what 4,000 miles away or something.
Yeah.
Right.
He's further than that.
Be further than I can swim.
I wonder how many satellites that signal has to go through.
I don't know.
For real. It's a lot.
It's a bunch of them, man.
Yeah.
I won't get into everything, but I was down in Alabama last weekend, and I had a lot of people wanted to talk to me when this certain family it's Giles County over here, probably you know where Pulaski, Tennessee is?
Lord, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so there's a Tarpley Shop Road down there, and this family had been living with these things since the 40s, and they told me a lot of stories, but they had to adjust how they lived and how they hunted and how they called them big monkeys because they didn't know what a Bigfoot was or whatever. So there was one of them. It reminded me. There's a bunch of them. I listened to them all day long. My head is filled up. But there was one that lived close to one of them's house, the uncle's house, and sometimes they would get visitors. And to scare them, they're like, "Hey, yeah, we can turn the lights on up there at night off a car, and it'll come out and scream at us." And they didn't believe them. And one night they got in that moonshine a little bit, and they left the lights on a little too long, and it came down and jumped up on top of the car with them.
Oh, good.
And they said that was the last night they did that, but it blew my mind, y'all.
Yeah. When I got screamed at so bad down in Mississippi, I had a commercial grade 0-turn mower, and it had like 4 headlights on the front of it, and it had 2 lights down on either side. And I'm running. I wasn't doing a bunch of maneuver around trees. I was mowing just a big a big lot area back on the north side of my house. So I just had the front lights on, and I'm blowing down through there, and I'm running along the creek bank and top of a creek bank, and yeah. Anyway, all of a sudden I hear this ungodly loud screeching noise, and I thought maybe I had a bearing on the deck had locked up or something, and the belt was screeching, and so I reached over and I hit the button to unlock the clutch on the deck, and to shut the blades down, and it didn't change anything. I thought, oh my God, maybe I'm losing a main bearing on the engine. So I throttled the engine back, and I can still hear it, but then I can hear it good enough that I can tell where it's coming from. I said, what the hell? It's coming from at about a 45 or so, or maybe about a 50, 60 degree angle from my side. So I just reached over and I flipped the switch on to turn on the lights on the left side of the mower. And when I did, there's this damn 8-foot booger and about an 8.5 foot tall booger. And I knew it. I'd seen it enough in other instances. That's the alpha of the local troop right there. And we had not had a good relationship up to that point, and it was getting worse by the second. And he bowed up and screamed at me again. I said, "Oh, okay, let's go mow somewhere else." And I turned that dude around and mashed those things for it. I got my butt out of there. And I kept looking back over my shoulder to see if he was following me. And so I went around. I mowed out in front of the house. There was a big old barn on an old home place out in front of where I lived, and I was supposed to keep that mowed too. So I got in and I mowed all that. About 30, 40 minutes had gone by, and I said, well, I need to go back and finish that back in the backyard there. So I go back there. Man, as soon as I come back around there and get close to where I'd stopped before, I hear that screeching again. I just reached and I flipped on all the lights. And that dude he was in the exact place that he was when he screamed at me the first time. So I said, okay, it's time to go in the house, go to bed, and I'll finish this tomorrow afternoon in daylight. And that's what I did. But
hey, Al.
Yeah.
Didn't something happen to you whenever you were bush hogging down there at Greg's? Like you had up behind you or something?
It was Greg. It was bush hogging. I was in the truck, and I backed up in the woods.
He had backed up in the same scope of woods I was just telling Roger about, where I heard it sound like kids played. Same spot, same place.
I'd backed up in there, and I was outside the truck when I heard the first whistle. And then the second whistle come to my left of the truck. And then another whistle came from behind me, but they was getting closer. And then there was another whistle to my right, and it was like 100 yards from me. And it was like whistling back and forth, and there was 3 of them. And I'm like, oh, no, hell no. I got in the truck, and I pulled like 150 yards out into the field that Greg was bush hogging in. I was over with him. Greg makes a lap or two, and he's like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, I had my hands out like this, like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? And he was like pointing out like behind the truck.
I'm like,
and I just kept bush hogging.
I'm like, they're coming toward the truck. I'm getting out here where I can see what the hell's coming at me. And it's right at dusty dark, which that was our fault. You don't want to do that. Right at dark, make a lot of noise and disturb them, because it kind of pisses them off.
It does. What they're doing, what they do at that time of day, right around dusky dark, and it's just turning dark, is the alpha. It's either the alpha male or the alpha female. I think sometimes it's the alpha female.
Yeah.
She will do some tree knocks and some low calls, but loud enough that all the rest of the troop can hear it, and let them know where they're going to be going that night.
Yeah.
And that we're going out here to the east over here and eat Greg's scuppernong vines. You know, we're gonna get Greg's scuppernongs tonight, and tomorrow night we're gonna go down. You know, but they will communicate where they're going, and when we're making a bunch of racket that time of the evening, they can't hear it, messes them up, and they get mad. It pisses them off.
Oh yeah.
That was about 4 years ago, I guess, when that happened. And then last year, the boy that works for me, I had him bush hogging because I was still gimped up with my leg being broke. And me and Al was over there. I was pulling the truck around. I'd pull up, let Al step out, and he's taking a chainsaw and cutting some limbs. It was around the edge of the field. It was just hanging out. Well, this boy that works for me, he was 150 or so yards out from us in the field. Well, he was coming toward us, and Al had got back in the truck. And we started just like, we was probably, 3 miles an hour, a little faster than you could walk. Yeah. We was going around the edge of the field. We was
pulling up 20 feet, man.
Yeah, but we was going, I was fixing to tell that boy was working for me to just, when he got done, to go to the other field. And we were going over there. Well, we're rolling probably 3 miles an hour, and Al's window, the pasture window is like 15 foot from the wood line. And y'all, I'm talking about, it was like just, from where I'm sitting looking at him in the passenger seat, there is a whistle. I'm talking about loud, and it just like echoed through the truck. And Al looked at me.
It drowned it out the tractor. You couldn't even hear the tractor
for the whistle. And Al said, "Was that you?" I said, "Hell no, it wasn't me. It was out your window." I said, "It's a damn booger right there in the damn woods. He's got to be right here." And he had to be. He couldn't have been over 20, 30 feet just in the damn woods from us.
Hell, I've had them whistle at me, and or do an owl call at me, so loud, especially like a screech owl call, so loud it rang my ears.
Yeah.
And like you said, they're right in the tree line, and we're not 15, 20 feet away in the dadgum truck.
That's like
I've had that happen to me 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
That's like Troy last night when that one growled at me 3 times. The first 2 didn't bother me. The last one was, he meant to get my attention, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, it startled me, and I came back in, and Greg's like, "Well, what's wrong with you?" And I'm like, "He's right there. There's one right there." And Troy's like, "Well, step back out and whistle at him." I'm like, "I'm not whistling at him." He's like, "Throw him some food or something to know you're there and you heard him." I'm like, "I'm not doing that."
Troy's want me to bait him up. I'm like, nope. Ain't happening. I mean, he didn't want me to bait him up, but just from time to time, throw him a little bitty something. You know, he don't want me like putting up a feeder out here. But, you know, he's like, time to time. And I'm like, no. They come up here, they can leave with their belly grumbling. I don't give a shit. I don't want them coming up here wanting something to eat.
I love Troy to death, but
they're already coming up.
He knows more than most people should know how to deal with them.
Yeah.
And he's trying to pass it on, but he doesn't realize that
it's above my learning curve.
That's what the word I'm looking for. It's above my learning curve. I mean,
above your pay grade.
Yeah.
In my honest belief, I believe that Troy has had more encounters than anybody I've ever known.
I think he's like.
I'll agree with that.
I think, like me and Coombo's talked about, as many as I've had and as many as Coombo's had, if you took mine and Coombo's and put them together, I don't know what you'd have to multiply them by to have as many as Troy's had.
Well, Troy, you know, I've only ever touched one twice. And both of those instances happened within 5 seconds of each other. And that was pretty accidental. When they lived down in that swamp down in Florida, in that old shotgun house, you know, they used to, the boogers had come in there after they went to bed. The boogers had come in there and come in the old house, and his grandma, like the old folks did, would leave the leftovers sitting on the table with a hand towel, dish towel laid over them to keep the flies off of them. And the boogers would come in there and walk in the kitchen and eat the dadgum leftovers off the table.
Yeah.
And then 2 or 3 times there was a juvenile female that came into his bedroom, and one of them grabbed his foot one time, and then Troy got sick one time, and hey Greg, correct me if I'm telling this wrong. Troy got real sick one time with something, and didn't know. They didn't go to the doctor back then out there where they lived.
Yeah.
And he was really, really sick. And I tried to get Troy on the show tonight, and he didn't want to come on there. I was going to send him the link, and no. He said, I don't do podcasts. But anyway, he woke up. He said he doesn't know what happened to him. He said apparently he passed out or something. And he said he woke up and there was a booger standing there. And he said the thing had wiped something on his face, on his eyes. And
forehead,
forehead and his eyes,
forehead and his eyes. And when he opened his eyes and saw her, didn't she just turn around and walk away, Greg?
Best I can remember, that's right.
Yep.
Yeah. And he got up and went and wiped that stuff off that it had put on him. And then he realized, well, dang, I feel okay. Whatever it was.
Yeah. Whatever it was that wiped on, he said he could see, but it was like looking through a film, like a cloudy film.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah, it was weird.
I'm just telling you, Greg locks this door over here and padlocks it, or not padlock, but deadbolts it. And Greg gonna have an assault rifle laying real close, and there's a right shotgun, and there's 2 Browning semi-auto high-powered rifles, and there's a 7-mag bolt Browning, 2 12-gauge tactical shotguns right there. There's a double barrel set right here. There's a 357 Magnum and 2 9mm. And if all else fails, there's a damn 22 Magnum revolver between the cushion and my ass.
A 22 revolver. Okay.
22 Magnum. Look, if nothing else, that's for me.
Yeah, Greg.
I'll tell you this.
All I'm saying.
2 years ago,
Hang on.
If something touched my foot and then it wiped something on my head with Simba, and I woke up and there was a female Bigfoot right there, a 22 Magnum would not get the job done.
No, that 22 Magnum, so I don't have to live through being skewered by one of them.
yeah, but
He may come in here roused up, might like my beard too much or something.
Spencer, you've got to remember this. There's only very few people that will actually fish in a pond, and the fish they catch, they throw it over the pond dam.
And the booger get it.
And the booger get it. So the story goes, if you're friends with a hairy monster that lives in the woods, you don't have to be afraid of anything else.
I've heard the story, and at some point, Troy needs to tell everybody the story in person. But until then, just saying.
Hey, Greg.
Yeah.
What? Talking about the big guy protecting them. Down there somewhere close to you, there was a family that lived way back up in one of those hollers there. Maybe it might be part of Bankhead now, but they used to have to walk about a half a mile out to the school bus stop.
Yeah.
And there was a booger that followed them every day. And when they'd get out and when they'd get off the bus after school, it'd be there waiting on them.
Yep.
And then some dadgum moonshiners, some crazy moonshiners bought a chunk of property between them and the bus stop. And the booger, somehow they got crossways with the moonshiners.
Well, what it was, the moonshiners, the revenuers raided the moonshiners, and they didn't get caught, but what I understood, they busted their steel up. And the guy that owned the still thought that woman and them kids turned them in. So in the middle of the night, the woman's house got set on fire, and it burnt her house, burned them out. Is what they done. But the woman and her kids, I think it was like 5 daughters, they went outside, and as their house was burning, across the yard, there was a booger stepped out and squatted down and watched their house burn. And but now that story is in Tal Bronco's book. That my story, my dad's story's in.
That's the truth.
And look, I know people that know the family that lived there. And matter of fact, a girl that I know really well, she got me contact information on one of those the daughters, one of the younger daughters that their house burnt. You know, it was one of the girls, and I hadn't tried to really reach out to her yet, and I'm probably going to. But that happened. You can look that up on the internet, and if I can find it, I've got it somewhere on my phone saved. But that has been what do you call it? Like what is that woman's name? She reads like Bigfoot tales or whatever. I can't think of what her name.
I know what you're talking about.
She reads those. Linda Smith.
Shadow Walkers?
No, it's not Shadow Walkers. It's like Cryptid Tales, maybe. Is it? Anyway, I think it's Cryptid Tales with that Linda Smith. She read the whole story off, and it's about 15, 20 minutes long. But anybody had never seen it, you need to look it up.
And the end of the story was that the booger sat there and watched the house burn down.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like the next day, everything those moonshiners had in there was totally destroyed.
Yeah. Hey, Spencer, the best I can remember, if somebody wants to look that up, the way you look it up is look up it's either Bigfoot watched their house burn or a booger watched their house burn. And that happened in Double Springs, Alabama, which is about 11 miles from where I'm sitting.
The best way to look it up, and I've said this several times on the channel, is go get Bill White's book, Al Bronco's book, Southern Bigfoot Tale. You can get it on Kindle for like $4 or $5. And everything in that book is a compilation of stuff that happened in Alabama and Mississippi. And it is it's one of the best books there you could read as far as Bigfoot. Everything in that book is really well documented. It's a great book. Mark Green has several things in there. Some of Greg's stuff is in there. It's a really good book. Y'all should buy that book. Go buy it for $5 off Kindle.
Huh. Well, Spencer, before I get sidetracked again, we've had so much going on. Way back earlier, it's probably been 45 minutes ago. Ronnie Tucker had commented, and I thought this would be a good time to touch on that comment. Since I got Al sitting here with me, what Ronnie this may not be verbatim what he put, but he wanted to know about Al's buddy that was a non-believer that thought we was all joking and kidding, that got the hell scared out of him. And I'm not making fun of him, because by God, I got the hell scared out of me, and Al did too. It's just we held it together and just didn't panic, because if you're in the damn woods and panic, y'all, that's when you're in a damn mess. You got to keep your senses about you the best you can, and because being panicked is not going to help you in any way.
It's gonna get you hurt, or you're gonna hurt yourself.
Something bad's gonna happen. But anyway, back on him, Al's buddy, and that's when the booger followed Al out that night, and it done him a lot, nearly exactly what he'd done to me before. The thing come around the field, and the one that come around on me, it got downwind of me, and that's when it started huffing and grunting, and it come back around, and then I heard it go back toward the river and leave. Last I heard it, this thing was 150 or so yards through that thicket, and it got quiet, and I waited as long as I could, and then I snuck down that tree stand, and y'all, when I got to the ground, I knew, I was like, it dawned on me, when I stepped down, I'm going to make noise, because those leaves were still on the ground. I'd forgot to rake them out that year, out of that little trail. You know, when I hit the ground, here that thing come, and it was charging. I mean, it was charging. It sounded like a car wrecking through the thicket, and it was running. And y'all, I ran out in the field as hard as I could run, hugging up my rifle to my chest, and I could tell it was getting close. I mean, this thing is gaining, and it's gaining horribly. I mean, it was like a greyhound chasing a crippled turtle. I mean, this thing's getting me in a heartbeat. And all I could do, y'all, I mean, I planted my left foot and I spun. And when I did, I come up with my rifle and I'm looking over beside the scope or over top of it. And I've done flipped the safety off and finger straight by the trigger. And that thing stopped. It stopped just before it come out in the opening. But it ran straight to the tree that my tree stand was on. I'm talking about it run straight to that tree as it could go. And that's when, you know, that's when I knew for 100%. These things, they may not know exactly what a gun is, but they knew I had a weapon. But then basically, you know, that's how I wound up. And I went on it. Y'all go back and listen to that story. That's basically the same way they done Al that night.
Identically, nearly
identically, y'all. And when that thing comes running, when you have one of these things charge you and it's running at you, I mean, that thing ran up less than 100 feet of me. But when it was running, right before it stopped, when its foot would hit the ground, each foot, I could feel the ground shake. I'm talking about feel the dirt shake when this thing's running. And it would be like anybody that's ever been in a pasture and a horse run by real close, or cow like leap over and land and bounce by you or whatever. You'll feel it hit the impact. Yeah, I could feel it. That's how heavy it was. You could feel the impact of this thing hitting the ground from that far away. Oh, but that thing followed a while out that night, and it charged him, run him out in the field, and then he starts easing on over. And where I broke and run after I got to the road going out where it couldn't see me, I took off running. Well, he just kept sneaking out, and just stayed with him and paced. We got a turn. He finally got to where I could see him, and it went from bad to worse at that point. And
I thought it went really bad because my buddy had completely panicked. I mean, he was in bad mode, and that it was scary for him. Me and Greg, we've been in the woods enough and dealt with enough. We stay calm enough, but if he'd had the keys, he'd left me and Greg, and we'd had to kill him. I mean, I'm just saying.
He kept saying, he's like, who's got the keys? Where's the keys? Who's got the keys? Who got the keys? Where's the keys? We got to go. What the hell is that? Who is that? This ain't funny. Is that somebody y'all know? Y'all, this ain't funny. And it's just, I mean, it was like down Mel Tillis was standing there.
The bad part is, and we've never told this part, we had talked to him before. I told him, and then Greg told him, and he thought we was playing a joke on him. When he realized that we wasn't playing a joke and it was real, the fear set in. Well, when the fear set in, it was all at once, and it was full-blown panic for him. And me and Greg's trying to keep him calm. Greg finally told him, he said, shut up, get your gun, and get ready. And that's when it really set in.
I said, where is your rifle? He goes, I unloaded it. I said, get that damn pistol out now. And he's like, what we gonna do? And me just coming up by the seat of my ass, like, we've got to have a damn plan, and this is not good. I mean, it was the point, y'all. I wasn't sure it was going to be safe for us to attempt to even move from where we were exactly standing to try to get in the damn truck. And I knew
we go. That's the way Sammy and I were.
Yeah, I mean, we were. I ain't gonna say just frozen with fear, but I was sitting there in my head. And guys, if you've not ever been in a life or what you really feel is a life or death situation, it's like you're going to do one of two things. You're either going to feel like everything's in hyper warp drive, or it's like the whole world slows down and it's like you're just barely moving, just going slow. And that's kind of where I was at. It was like I had everything slowed down and I was zoned in. I was focused, and I was focusing on it. And I'm trying to formulate a plan so all three of us don't get shredded and tore limb from limb.
Well, imagine this picture. You got a D9 dozer out there that's running 40 miles an hour, back and forth, 30 yards from you, and it's focused on you. And it's breaking, it's tearing shit up and raising hell. And you've got one guy over here that's panicked, at full panic mode. And Greg is trying to calm him down and figure out what the hell we're going to do to get out of this situation, because we can't turn our back.
I looked at Al. I was looking around him at his buddy, and I looked back straight in his face, and we're as close as me and him sitting down.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I said, listen to me. I said, whatever, I don't know what's about to happen, but by God, don't you fire a damn shot till you hear the 5th round go out of this Browning.
Yes.
I looked at his buddy. I said, do you understand me? Do not, I don't care what happens. You don't pull a damn trigger till Al gets done shooting. I said, dude, Al, don't you shoot till you hear my 5th round fire.
And he knew I wouldn't.
And y'all, when that 5th round goes off, Al, you crank up with that 7 mag, and I knew that 7 mag Browning it's got 4 shells. And I told him, I said, look, dude, when you hear that 4th shot go off in Al's gun, you crank up with that pistol. And I told him, I said, look, soon as mine runs dry, I'm going to be either slamming rounds back in it or I'm pulling this 357 and I'm about to go to work. I said, but I'll be damned if any of us going to be, all of us going to be standing here with empty guns. I mean, I was trying to plan it out where we had solid fire without an interruption, where everybody's sitting there helpless. And
I think everybody needs to know it's important for them to understand, because they haven't seen. I've seen that gate that you're talking about where you pulled up to.
yeah,
It's important for them to understand that that area that you're talking about is only a couple miles as the crow flies from your house.
oh yeah,
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, and you're only 45 minutes from Coombo. I mean, maybe 25 miles, something like that.
yeah. From here, crow fly from here to Coombo is about 50 miles, maybe.
Okay, but well, you went fast. Mark Green went real slow because he was missing the skinny pedal.
That's right. He was anti-skinny pedal.
Yeah, anti-skinny pedal. But just like Alabama is the boogeriest place I've seen Mark Green's, I've seen your area, I've seen Coombo's house, and Alabama is just flat out. The boogers are there. If y'all want to see boogers, go to Alabama. They are there.
Well, they're in Mississippi too.
Oh yeah.
But they're, I mean, right, here where I'm at, where Greg is, where Mark is, I mean, they're there all the time and they're close. They're never very far away.
Well, you take Coombo like we've talked about.
Yeah.
You take down there where Flat Rock's at. Flat Rock and them's ate up with them too. I mean, Flat Rock down there, down there where Miss Bama BF.
Yeah.
I mean, they're down there around Geneva, Alabama, down in that way. I mean, that's really, y'all, Flat Rock and Miss Bama BF, they're going to be, they're within, both of them's going to be within 30 or so miles of where Troy's grandparents' place was. They're all there in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Coombo, has Greg ever told you a story about our buddy that used to be a law officer that had a nurse coming to his house that seen the one in his pasture like regularly?
I don't know if I remember that or not right off the top of my head.
Well, now the one that was the one that had the nurse coming.
Yeah,
that was the guy that dug the basement. He done excavating.
Yeah,
that was JD's wife.
Yeah.
Anyway, this guy I knew him real well. He's passed away. He's been dead and gone 2 years now, I guess. But his wife had MS real bad, and she got bedridden, and they kept her at home. And they were having like nurses come around every day, and they would come check on his wife, home health.
Yeah.
And this guy, him and the nurse both. The nurse was there at his house, had these big picture windows that went out to to his pasture, like probably 40 or so acres of a cattle pasture. And his nurse walked around. She was like, well, she'd look out because they'd see deer and stuff. And she stopped. She's like, who is that big guy over there? And he's like, what are you talking about? And he steps over and looks, and it wasn't a guy. It was a booger, and this thing was like 200 yards. It walked down the wood line, turned, went in the woods. And they got to watching for this thing. And y'all, they would see it like 3 or 4 times a week. It would walk through like the same path. They got like nearly set their watch back. But him and, like I said, this guy, and there was a few other people would go over there, and they would see this thing walk down the wood line. It was like it was passing through, going somewhere. But that rocked on for a while. I don't know how many times they wound up seeing it. And that's about 7 miles from where I'm sitting.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they'll do crazy stuff like that. That's like a place in Oklahoma that I know of where they end up having, there was some boogers that moved through an area every morning, and there were people that were taking their kids to school, and they'd see these boogers walking along a creek. They'd stop and watch them, and then more people, and it got to be where there was a dadgum circus out there almost every single morning. Till they finally, the law enforcement came in there and made people, they sort of changed some things around with the roads and stuff, and made them, it wouldn't let them stop like that anymore.
I am.
Look, old Spencer. Hey, Spencer's from Virginia. Remember now, Virginia's for lovers.
Wow. Do not start.
You got it, man, Spencer. That was a good one, even if it was on you and no win. And over there, Twan, I laughed. I cried.
Anthony. Oh,
We was down there at Mark Green's. Y'all went to that barbecue place and was all got out of the vehicle, standing around everybody. I mean, here we are, a bunch of old rough-looking dudes standing there in the parking lot, and Mark and Larry Port's standing there, and he starts chuckling because Anthony and Spencer got out the truck together. And he starts pointing down at the license plate on the truck and starts just sniggering. He said, "Yeah, y'all getting out of that truck?" Says on that tag, said Virginia's for lovers. And the whole crowd erupted in a roar.
That was not funny. That was not funny. Damn, Larry.
Hey, Forrest.
Yeah. Okay. Yo, how many people we got in chat?
81.
81.
Look at that.
2 hours later. Thank you guys so much. And if you all are subscribed to us, by the way, we finally hit 1,000. Thank you guys. Spencer came on and told everybody. It was actually mine and my husband's anniversary, so I didn't really, do a whole lot that day as far as like hanging out on the computer or my phone. But thank you all. That means a lot to us. It really does. I mean, we're not trying to get a bunch of people or whatever, but for the 1,000, we have got the best group of people ever that you could ask for.
You're right, Misty. I've said it over and over and over, y'all. And guys, I'm not playing and I'm not kidding. I have turned down in the last, especially the last 3 months, I have had numerous podcasters contact me, want me to come on their shows, and I won't do it. I don't do it. Here's where I'm at, y'all. I mean, when I'm on here with either on this or on with Larry and Mark, and I reckon y'all that Spencer and Misty's adopted me.
It's family.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like family, and I've just got a feeling like when I've been around all these guys, y'all, from the time we met, I can't explain how I've got thrust into this. And as far as, I mean, I just feel like I'm part of a big family. And just like all the people in chat that I've got to know and messaging, and y'all, our chat's phenomenal. I mean, I love to see everybody on here. I mean, Leanne and Bobby and, Crystal and Ray. I mean, it's awesome. I mean, it's awesome.
I'm looking at the counter here. I can't see the chat, but it says 844 probably messages. Or they've been back and forth. That's crazy.
They didn't even know I changed their name. I had forgotten.
I saw it. I saw you had me, Big Chief. And folks, hey, look, Aaron, I'm I'm just proud that my Pocahontas has been in chat. She's got to where she's getting active. We're getting her out of her shell. She just won't let me play Big Chief real regular yet.
Misty, this first time, as long as I've been around you, this first time I ever seen you been bashful and won't come on live.
She's got war paint on. She's got
I'm sitting back here with a bottle of spray alcohol, y'all, and I'm like just every so many minutes dousing my arm.
She's huffing that stuff. You watch.
Hey, Greg knows about the alcohol, so we don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
Hey,
Where do you take alcohol to matches?
I'm not drinking it.
Yeah. Hey, y'all, I'm telling you now, my wife burn a tick off, fella, if you need it. Where'd Coco go?
How long have y'all been doing this?
Acting crazy or podcast?
This is the third
This is a podcast. I know the other answer.
Hey, me and him's been together for a long time.
Man, Al's been like one of my brothers for 35 years. And golly, Spencer, when did you start this up?
I don't know. I think before the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
It's been like 6 or 7 months.
No, I think we're coming up on 1 year. We're close to 1 year.
Really?
I think so.
Time flies, y'all. But I mean, seriously, guys, I can't even express that. I'm still confused why y'all want me to come on, but I'm proud you do.
We love you.
You're part of the show now.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all, though, we have been a little bit over 2 hours now, so we're going to hop off here and there. I don't know where Kumbo went. Kumbo just bailed on us.
He's MIA.
He get some more soup.
Yeah.
Well, anyway.
Hey, y'all missed a good birthday dinner tonight that I cooked.
Chef Boy Al over here done some Spencer Jameson cooking.
Greg's mom's birthday was today.
Turned 81.
And we cooked pork chops, mac and cheese casserole, hash brown casserole, and pinto beans.
And then had cheesecake pie.
And cheesecake pie.
Damn.
Yeah, oh well, he went in there and he's in there in the kitchen for like 2.5 hours, and I wasn't sure if he was fighting the war cooking supper and all the beating and fighting the pan.
I'm the world's worst. If I'm cooking, I'm washing them as I cook. So,
oh, you're about like me now. Have to clean up as you go. Nobody else.
Mm-hmm.
Don't leave it for somebody else when you can do it yourself.
I agree. All right. Well, y'all, over 2 hours now. So thanks for joining us again. Everything. This is like our third late night thing. Isn't it, Misty? Third, maybe fourth.
Third.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is our late night thing. Thank you.
We do another night, late night, or I'll try to share some of my good life experiences, and we'll get everybody on a lighter note. We'll do some more laughing.
Yeah, normally this is the whole cutting up time, but we had Kumbo on here. Serious.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm glad he was here because
yeah, man.
Hey,
some of this stuff that's confused me because I'm new at this. He put it right in line for me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Heck, I was surprised whenever he said Kumbo was coming on. I was like, really short notice? I didn't even want to freaking do it.
I just happened to be talking to Kumbo whenever he was trying to shoot the damn armadillo. And I was
Videoed that.
Y'all know what it is. He done got soft hearted. He shot over it just to give it.
I thought it was.
No. He got
No,
soft.
I don't cut armadillos any slack at all. They're out here tearing up my grandma's flowers. They're gonna die.
Yeah. Yep.
a quick question for Kumbo. I've been wanting to ask him.
Thank you, Robert.
You remember you told us the story about the one that come up was looking in at your sister, I think it was, in the building, and he was hanging on the eave.
Oh, that's the one that Tom looked out from the porch.
Yeah.
And
How tall is that, Eve?
Yeah, he was well, I don't know. It's well, his head was sticking up above the eave. I think the eave's about 9 feet.
Yeah, that's what I was wanting to know.
Yeah, and I think the eve was about 9 feet, and his head was sticking up above it. Yeah. But hey, Roger, I was wanting to tell you something else about the juvies. Up there at I never did get to finish telling about what we went over up there at DeSoto campground, DeSoto State Park. We got on tape the juvies coming up, and at a distance they were communicating with each other with little whistles, little flat monotone whistles, like.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And when they got up closer, they quit doing the whistles and they started trying to do the infrasound. And you could hear, what was funny is they were trying to do a flat infrasound, but it was coming through like.
How many people you got, Chad?
Like that. It was not the wall wall sound that we've heard. It was just almost. But it took me quite a long time to figure out what they were doing. But they were doing stuff that was clearly audible at a distance. When they got close enough, they thought that we might hear them. Then they started trying to do infrasound, but their voices wouldn't let them go low enough.
Yeah.
And so it's like I said, it sounded like a super bass little tree frog or something.
Yeah, I mean, when I first heard that the other night, I actually thought with my bad hearing that somebody like a diesel pickup truck was hauling the trailer and had to get on it. And my son and my wife on the other side of the truck said, "No, that's not a truck. That's just right over here." It sounded far off to me. Thank God they're there. I heard it 3 times, and that was that vibration type. Sound that you're talking about, and it kind of went up a little bit, but I don't know. We've been hearing. We had about a 6-week period where we were going 1 or 2 times a week, and I think that led up to us kicking off or making mad this one big one, and that's when me and my son had that scary about 15 minutes, and we didn't go back for a while. So maybe we wore out our welcome, I think.
Yeah. A lot of, what normally happens is when you go into a new area where there hasn't been a serious researcher in there before, and you come in there and do some calling, and it's the first time that troop's really had anybody do that around them. You will catch the interest of the alpha, and that's when you're more likely to have one run up in your face, like what happened to me and Sammy, and maybe like what happened to Greg and Alan, is you get the alpha, but once the alpha has seen you and been around you a little bit, and he decides that you're not really a threat to the troop, when you go back, you don't get the alpha. The alpha doesn't come anymore. It'll be the juvies that come around, and the juvies will mess with you a lot more. They'll spend a lot more time just picking at you and stuff, and but every once in a while you'll get into a situation like what you described, where you piss them off.
Yeah,
and that's like back there on the back of the farm. In this one area where we tried to go coon hunting, and we piss them off and get screamed at. And I was back there back in the 1970s. This would have been 1978 or 79. We had a
Ray was picking on me, telling I bet Greg has a period. So I mean,
But anyway, we had we kept missing calves back in this one area of the farm, and so I started going back there at night. I'd walk back there and sit. Me and my dog, we'd sit back there till 1:30 in the morning. Then I'd walk back to the house, and it's about a 3/4 mile walk back there. And most of the time I never took a flashlight with me unless it was the dark of the moon or something, because once your eyes get adjusted, you can see good.
Yeah.
And it was about a quarter moon or so, and it was bright night, and I'd been back there the previous 2 or 3 nights, and I was walking out the same way I'd gone the previous nights, and we started feeling, me and the dog too, that we felt that we were getting in danger, that something was out there, and I felt that it was coming. It was over my left shoulder in the tree line, and that's what was crazy is I noticed my dog was looking back over his left shoulder back behind him, and he was walking along, and he had his head down, his ears laid down, and his tail was tucked just as tight between his legs as he could get. He looked like somebody kicked him, and it kept getting worse and worse. And I was carrying my old Lee Enfield 303 British that my grandpa had sporterized for me, and all I did was I clicked the safety off, and the second I clicked the safety off, that thing cut loose and screamed at me from right there in the tree line, just about, maybe at the most, 30 yards away. It was probably much closer than that. It's probably more like about 30, 40 feet away. And it scared me so bad, I couldn't help it. I just took off. I broke and ran out into the field. And I ran as hard as I could for about 50 yards and suddenly realized, oh, my God, you don't run from a predator. And like Greg said, I planted my left foot. I spun around with my rifle up, finger on the trigger, scanning that tree line. He was still in the tree line, but he let loose. And even though we were 50 yards, he was screaming so loud, it was just rattling and shaking my body.
Yeah.
And he would stomp. He was stomping back and forth in the trees. You could see where he was because you could see the tops of the smaller trees, moving back and forth. And like what Greg said, you could feel that thing through your feet. And what was crazy was I've never been able to figure this out. That dog was a Doberman Pinscher. Anybody that's owned a Doberman Pinscher knows that they're fast runners.
Yes.
When I ran out in that field, and when I planted my left foot and spun around, that dog goes boom, past me. I had stayed ahead of that dog for 50 yards.
So when they get
to this day, I don't know how I did it.
So when they get irritated like that, do they pace back and forth? Have you've heard that?
Yeah.
Yes.
That video that Spencer's seen, we had walked in and it had rained the night before, so the leaves were just wet, and these deer, we spooked 5 deer up. We saw them. They were, 20 yards away to 30 yards away. We couldn't hear them. But when this happened, you can hear me say we shouldn't be able to hear that thing walking over there, but we could hear it back and forth. And we were scared. Now it was serious, but Spencer knows my son's sense of humor, and we get back to the truck and he's talking about, I'm not doing that anymore. And I'm like, I'm kind of jittery, cause I'm like, we made it out of it. And so it was really scary. And on the way back, I said, what do you think that was about? And we never had gifted before. And all I had was 2 apples and 2 oranges. I said, what do you think that was about? And he said, hell, I reckon Bigfoot don't like oranges. Maybe that's what pissed him off, But yeah, it was a lot of stuff happened in 20 minutes there.
And you can hear the video if you listen real close.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Me and Greg has talked about this a bunch of times. How people, when you tell them you can tell that something's walking upright on 2 feet,
mm-hmm.
And they're like, well, how do you tell? How do you differential?
Oh.
If you've been in the woods enough and listen, you can tell if it's 2 feet or 4 feet.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to me that people won't believe you when you tell them somebody it's walking upright on 2 feet.
And we had one stepped up, I'm assuming, because we didn't see it, was at night. But I was on the left side of the truck, and Peyton's girlfriend was on the left side back in the back. And they're big rocks, some of them a foot, 2 foot, out of the ground. And I heard something step off of a rock and just like y'all said, shook the ground, boom, boom, And I said, my first thought was, damn, that sounded big as a cow or a bull. And I turned and I said, Kenzie, did you hear that? She said, I sure did. She said, it sounded like as big as a cow. And I said, how many feet? And she's inexperienced, but she heard it. She said, sounded like 2. I said, exactly. That's exactly what it was. And it was about 20, 25 yards from us, just inside the woods line. So in the same place. So you're right. You can sometimes things may mess with you a little bit, but if you're experienced, you can tell.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they'll like I said, they pace back and forth when they're PO'd and trying to decide. I sort of think they're trying to decide, well, do I want to kill him or just eat him alive or let him go, But they'll also, when they're sort of undecided, they'll sit there and they'll sway back and forth, and like this, and that's what the one was doing to my brother-in-law out here. He looked over there, and I'm talking about he was standing like 50, 60 feet from where I'm sitting right now, and he just happened to look over there by the garage, the garage over by the blockhouse. It's across on the other side of the driveway, and that dude is standing there right beside the garage, and he said it's standing there, and he said when he looked at it, he said it started, swaying back and forth, and that's when they're doing that, they're undecided, they're uneasy, but they don't know, exactly if they want to go or stay, so they'll sit there and they'll sway back and forth, but the ones that worry me,
rubbing its front legs.
When they're the ones stomping back and forth in the woods, those worry me. But I've also seen them just come out there, walk out there in the freaking open, where you can see them. And they're just sitting there, bowed up, just defiant, just daring you to do something.
That's why you get concerned.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've had that happen several times.
Well, a lot of people, what I just love for them to hear, is hear one of these damn things breathing. Just hear them breathe. Just hear one breathe, and it will change your whole outlook on the world.
Y'all, yeah. I was thinking that while he was talking. At the height of all this activity, and I was scared. What scared me the most when I let out some words I shouldn't have said, and thank goodness Mark took it out. But it was a huff growl, but there was a volume. You could hear 2 nostrils, and the volume of air that came out of those nostrils was amazing. And it growled too at the same time. And,
Roger, it'll sound like a racehorse that's just run the Kentucky Derby.
That's right. That's right.
You ever unhooked a high pressure hose?
Yeah.
But it's more of it.
Yeah.
You can almost tell how big the nostrils are, if that makes sense. It's just, I was scared.
What it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like how Roger and Al both wait until we're 2 hours and 15
minutes. They get warmed up.
Like they're just now ready to start talking.
Well, Roger,
I'm new at this. I'm the rookie.
On it for sure, because they ain't a recording one that we've got. You can ask Sherry if something pops off, you're gonna hear me drop the F-bomb more. Who knows what else in all my recordings?
I didn't even know.
She had been out here on the porch with me last night and heard that one.
She'll be here next weekend.
You'd have lost it, I promise you, because it got my attention.
That's the first thing I asked Mark. I said, "Hey, can you Can you take that cussing out? He said, I can do that.
Yes.
Well,
I've been in a lot of bad situations, I promise you. The third growl I got out here last night, it got my attention beyond. The motorcycle was bad. That one was close. And I was like nervous looking around. I backed back in the door backwards, coming into the house, and turned around and looked at Greg and I said, right there.
I'm gonna tell y'all something right there. I'm sitting there reading the comments, and Leanne had posted that says about like heated or stress situation. It talks about, it says I get mad when I get really scared. That right there is one of the best things that anybody can have. If you get scared, if your go-to is to make you angry, you talking about something in your toolbox of self-preservation.
Yes, sir.
Because when you get angry like that, odds are you're going to be able to think. If you let fear totally take you over, yeah, you're planning on being a victim. If you can focus that fear and turn that fear into anger, you're going to prosper more than likely. Yeah, that's a great quality to have.
And the problem,
well, it's like Bubba, Greg. If you remember Bubba Gump, he used to say, "Fear is the mind killer."
Yep.
Yeah.
And he said, and my dad used to tell me, he said, when it gets bad, son, he said, you get mad, you get just down and dirty mad, just furious. Yeah. And he said, you'll be all right.
That's how you survive.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I used to have a teacher that said fear is or anger is never really an option, but whenever it is, it's the only option.
Yeah.
It's a controlled anger though that really benefits you. Like he was telling that story earlier, and I could just picture myself in that situation. That third person that's panicking is probably going to hurt the rest of you before the thing that threaten you is.
Well, you need, and there's the other thing. And if you're going to go in the woods, and it really, I try to tell people, you need to go with somebody that's been around and knows something about these things. I'm not an advocate for anybody to just sit here and listen to us for a little bit. It's not, hey, let's go to the woods and open holler and try to draw these things in, because it's a good way to get yourself hurt or come up missing. Go ahead and have you some glamour shots and leave them for your family to put on the side of milk. But, even if you're going out there with people that's done it before, don't take unnecessary chances.
Yeah.
It's
one prime example. And I'm going to throw Kimbo under the bus here.
What you're going to do?
What now?
We was down there at the river, and you blew tree fire.
A shofar.
Shofar.
Yeah. And that old
Yeah.
I don't know what that guy got involved in that diesel truck. It wasn't good.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, we had one, for the folks who hadn't heard the whole story. I blew the shofar, and we had one answer us, and I blew it again, and by golly, he was coming hard, fast, and pissed off.
Yeah, he was bad.
And we stood there listening, and we realized we're right here with our backs up against the water. We ain't got no place to go. Well, before he gets here, we best get in our trucks and get out of here. About that time, some wild, crazy kid came flying up into this parking lot area where we were, and in an old beat up, jacked up Dodge 2500, and all raggedy and everything, and he come here and he spun that thing around, and he's sitting there, and we decided, well, this is even more of a reason to go. So we left him there with the booger charging in wide open. We got down the road of a half a mile or so, Greg, and we came where these trees, these about three or four trees had fallen down across the road, and so we had to work our way across them and everything. We got on the other side, and we're thinking, we're good citizens. Let's cut these trees and and get them out of the road. So we were sitting there, and about that time we heard, here comes that truck. He came to those tree trunks. He never slowed down. He hit that thing, whoa, and hit them so hard and fast, he jumped all the rest of them. And he hit off in the edge of the ditch and fishtailed that thing 2 or 3 times. And he was gone. We jumped back in our truck, and I said, let's run that guy down and see what happened. We couldn't catch him.
No.
He ran off and left us. And he obviously, I believe, honestly, we think that he was sitting there when that pissed off booger ran out in that damn parking area. And
that was an eventful night, y'all. But you know, Coonbo, I was telling some folks this week about talking about the shofar. And the thing about it, it ain't like I'm a dang expert on a shofar horn. All I know is I've seen old brother Coonbo blow one. But I can tell you this: if you don't know what you're doing, you go out there and blow that thing till your lips turn inside out, and you ain't gonna have nothing out. Oh, and what's so phenomenal about the shofar, and I'll tell you this: when Tim hits that right note, he can sit there and blow that like a crippled bugle boy, and it sound horrible. He can strain and shove and whistle and whatever, and you won't have anything. You'll not hear nothing. There'll be not a booger answer that thing. But when he hits that magic note and his sphincter pinches up to certain tightness and it hits that note, y'all, I'm not kidding you. When that note on that shofar hits, it's like even yourself, me, my person, human being, it's like you're sitting there with your head kind of down listening to him make his hard racket. And when that note goes blue, and it hits that one note, y'all, it's like your whole body, just like you look up like the damn old Thundercat cartoon. It's like, oh my God. And they don't, a damn person have to tell you that's what that shofar is supposed to sound like. You'll know it. I'm telling you, you'll know that sound of what it is. And it's like daylight. Just like the sun can't just blinked on. And I'm telling you, as soon as that sound that he made, when it quits echoing, you better listen because you're fixing to hear some boogers. It's wild.
Yeah, he's got to teach me how to use it right. I always make it sound like a fart. I can't get it to
well, it took me over a year of practicing to ever do it right the first time. And but that thing, we brought those things in we have had them come to us from over 2 miles away. Another time out in Oklahoma, they answered us from a distant hill, and raised Cain, and we could just barely hear them, but they were raising holy hell. And one of the guys that was with us, he said that's over 3 miles away. And of course, this is out in the middle of nowhere, dead of the night, middle of the night, and it's flat from where we were. It's flat as a pancake from there till you get to the base of that big hill out there. And and it is that type of shofar is in the ancient scriptures is called the voice of God. Wow. And when you hit the right note, it even me when I'm blowing it, I instantly know it. I feel it in my core.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah. And,
y'all.
And that's why I quit doing it because I quit doing it because we don't know what we're doing. We don't know why these boogers respond that way. And I'm afraid that I'm going to get that 1 in 1,000 that's a killer that's going to come in and snatch our heads right clean off of our bodies, before we can do anything.
That's like commanding him to show up, but we don't know what he's going to do when he shows up.
Oh, when you hit that note,
right,
they're coming.
This is why the average person does not need to mess with the shofar.
No. That's why I'm telling you. It wouldn't hurt my feelings if none of the information about the shofar ever even came out.
Yes.
It makes me really worried for people.
I got a question for y'all.
If I had it to do over again, I'd have never mentioned it. I'd have kept it. Well, the trouble is that I was scared to be perfectly honest, based on what happened in my backyard up in Missouri. I was scared to go out by myself messing with that thing. And so the first time that I went, after I figured out how to blow it, the first time I went out, I had 4 other guys with me. And so there's 4 people, there's 4 more people to talk about it. The next time I went out with it, there was probably 8 or 9 people that witnessed it. And, there's been groups of people every time I've used it, because I ain't gonna walk out here on my porch or over on the back of the farm and blow that thing by myself. You can forget it. Right. I'm not even gonna get in a boat. The river is almost 2 miles wide here. I'm not gonna get in a boat and go out in the middle of the river and blow that sucker in the middle of the river, because I have witnessed boogers multiple times swim over 200 yards underwater before they ever come up for air.
Oh, Lord.
And there's a lot of reports. There's a lot of reports about boats getting turned over and people getting snatched out of boats and disappearing.
Okay.
And
I'm never going to play again.
The night with the dog, when you blew that horn, that first call we got back, how far you think it was away?
That dude was 3/4 of a mile away at least.
I figured he was a long way. I mean, he was minimum 400 or 500 yards at least.
And then,
he was over that. Yeah.
The second
a mile, just to give everybody, a mile is 1,670 yards. Isn't that right, Greg?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah. So when we say, if something's 600 yards, that's 3/8 of a mile.
Yeah.
And 800, a little over 800 yards is about a half a mile.
Yeah.
And
I'm gonna say within 4 minutes he cut the distance probably in half.
Oh, faster than that, Greg.
Yeah, it wasn't long. And we realized he was coming, and that's what I tell people. You want to go out boogering, go out with somebody that's been around it as much as Coonbo Baker, and you're standing there, and with just a little bit of the glow of the light, you're shining on the ground. We're discussing it. Man, he's getting close. He's getting closer. And then the next time he yells, he's like getting real damn close. And you look over and Coonbo goes,
it's time to leave.
Guys, I think we need to go. And it's like, that's when stuff gets real. It's like, I second that motion.
It wasn't minutes from the time he hollered to you like, well, it's time to leave.
Yeah.
We was heading up the road.
Have y'all ever heard of I don't remember exactly what it was called when I was young. I saw 2 of them. It's a thing that makes sound. It's a dun bull or a dumb bull.
Yeah. Dumb bull.
We
got in a lot of trouble with one of those things when I was a kid.
I was standing there when they actually pulled the fingers across that string. We were out at my uncle's house. There was one security light hollers as far as you can see. It was dark outside. I'm watching him do it, and that's the scariest sound that I couldn't imagine hearing it and me not seeing it. It was crazy.
There was a family that's over on the next road over here east of us, and they had to have it in the spring and in the fall. They'd sit out on their front porch till way late. So us being ornery kids, one of the guys had made him a dumb bull. He found an old wooden nail keg, and those things make a fantastic one. It's about, that dude's probably was 20 inches tall, something like that, and in the middle, probably nearly a foot in diameter. And he rigged that thing up and had him a big old leather thong run up through it, and he had that dude all rosined up good. And we sneaked up. We were down in the edge of the woods across the road from their house, and we sneaked up. We were sort of down in the ditch and pulled that thing. We like got our asses blowed away.
Yeah.
I mean, we came real close to four little knothead boys being blowed away. And
I wish So is it a dun bull? D-U-N?
Dumb. D-U-M-B.
Okay.
Dumb.
I'm gonna Google that.
Bull.
I'm gonna Google that.
I think I bet a 5-gallon plastic bucket would make a good one.
Well, I used to hear a lard stand, the little lard bucket. We tried to make one. It didn't work. It didn't work too well.
Well, yeah, we used to take the old plastics and the old cardboard paper, the old cardboard Quaker Oats things. We'd make a small one. That was our stealth dumb bull. Right.
Hey.
Uh-oh.
A 5-gallon, excellent one. I've made it before.
Make me one, Spencer.
The old, can y'all see this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We used to take these old paper, these cardboard Quaker Oats things, and we would make one. And heck, all you'd have to have is just some twine and a button and a little bit of rosin, and put some rosin on that twine, and you could roll it up. You could hide it. We'd do it if we were going to camp or something like that. We'd sneak it in there and sneak outside. Get outside when people have their windows open.
The one my uncle had, it was about 14, 15 inches tall. It was a hollowed out piece of a log. I don't know what kind of wood it was, and there was some type of leather or skin over it.
Yeah.
He had beeswax or something he put on that string.
Right.
Oh, he pulled that thing. It was, it's hard to describe. Y'all know.
Oh yeah.
It's amazing.
The easiest one I ever seen was a coffee can with a leather cover with one string, and they used honey wax.
Yeah.
Was it one of those big old 3-pound coffee cans?
No, it was like the 1-gallon metal coffee can.
That'd probably be a 3-pound.
Yeah, probably a 3-pound.
I've seen them make them out of the old, what we call the nail kegs, the old metal. You used to buy nails in a nail keg. I've seen people make one out of an old metal welding rod box.
Yeah, we made that one that we got ourselves blown. It was made out of a wooden nail keg, but I've seen them made out of an old 5-gallon sheet metal bucket, not a galvanized bucket, but like what you said, like what nails would come in.
Yeah,
sort of a light made bucket, and I've seen them made out of a bunch of things. Like I said, we'd make them out of an old one of them Quaker Oats. Things that I just showed you.
That'll make people move out of the holler.
Yeah.
I can tell you what. I'll just go ahead and do a public service announcement. I'm not the guy that they need to sneak up on in the woods and be doing that. No, I am not that guy.
No.
Well, yeah. Greg's one of the few people that I know that on an average basis is more heavily armed than me.
Hey, it's like this, Roger. I've been on stuff doing law enforcement. We'd be somewhere and some of the sheriff's office guys would be there and they'd be like, how much ammo you got? How much ammo you got? And they go to discuss and I said, look, if something goes south, pop open my toolbox and there's 1,000 rounds of 9, there's 1,000 rounds of 357, there's 1,000 rounds of 5.56 and 1,000 rounds of 7.62 by 39. They're all in ammo cans in that toolbox. And that one old boy one day, he said, God dang, what do you got all that ammo for? I said, I'm not on the sheriff's dime. I fund my deal. I said, I've got money to buy ammo. Look, if we're on something goes south, get to my truck.
Yeah.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah. Worst thing in the world is run out of ammo. You ain't gonna get to me for lack of any of my lack of ammo.
That's what I told one of my friends. If you run out of ammo, you just got some expensive paperweights. That's all you got.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
With him, I've been hunting with Greg since I was like 15 years old. And the one thing that his dad taught me and him both, you don't ever run out of ammo.
Yeah.
Regardless.
Yeah, ammo. You figure out how much you think you'd need and carry about 6 or 7 times that much.
Yep.
Well, y'all, we are right at 3 hours now. So
Well, just go.
Well, Spencer, you can leave. We're staying.
3 hours.
Hey, Misty's done go.
It's not my fault that Roger waited till like 2.5 hours in to start.
No.
What it is, Misty's
Hey,
Misty's,
I'm learning.
Misty's got enough calamine lotion. It's set up like damn. It's gonna be like a damn face mask. You just peel the whole thing off.
She can't even talk now.
I've sprayed so much alcohol, it's accumulated in here, and I believe I'm getting a contact buzz from the damn sprayed in, closed up.
See if that spider over there at the door. See if his web's all crooked where you got him high off alcohol fumes.
I'll shoot that sucker.
Misty, I ain't even thought about this, but hey, look, you do realize that the dang next podcast, maybe y'all should be here. I mean, well, not tomorrow, but like next weekend. If you come down with Sherry and Donna and Jim, hey, the next Woodwalkers, we can do it. Y'all be all here at the cave.
Well, I'll message you about it later.
All right.
No, I was just going to ask who all was planning on coming, but that's what I was going to tell you. Listen, this is my freaking husband for you, okay? Now, like, I'm kind of wondering if he ain't trying to get rid of me.
Spencer's been telling you that for a while.
He said, how you go to sleep or whatever, because, we were talking about being 3 rooms and if Caitlin and Hunter come or whatever. Yeah. And he said, what about putting up a tent outside? I said, Greg ain't going to let me put up no damn tent out in his yard. He goes, well, what if you drive the Jeep? He said, and then you can, because I always sleep in the vehicle whenever I go camping, me and the dogs. Oh, my God. And I was like, well, what about sleeping in the Jeep? He said, you could do that. I said, Greg ain't going to let me sleep in no damn Jeep either. I said, you just don't even have no idea.
Misty, Greg kept in 1:30 putting up door covers.
Hey,
we literally put up.
That when Misty and them came down here, when her and Spencer and Mark came, I think Misty was surprised that I didn't have an outhouse and that I actually did have running water and electricity, and she thought that this thing was like one of the little Amish sheds. It was like, or we went to Sears and bought a like a little lawnmower shed, and that was my clubhouse. But no, this what I call my cabin or my man cave. It's basically a 1,200 square foot house. There's 3 bedrooms. I just got one bath. We got a big kitchen and a nice living room in here. It's a nice house, y'all. I mean, it's a really nice house. But yeah, I mean, there's a queen bed in that bedroom and a queen bed in this room over here, and then that other bedroom's got those military bunk beds. And I told Sherry there's all kind of room to put cots or air mattresses or whatever. And then hey, we've got a couple of extra bedrooms at the house, and then there's 3 recliners in here. 4 recliners in here. So yeah, we ain't gonna be like some of the dadgum taco wagons where everybody's got to sleep standing up. Hot sheet to bed where when somebody gets out and somebody gets back in, the sheets don't even get cold.
Hey, I don't care. I literally, y'all, I brought an air mattress and my own bedding, everything, so I didn't have to try like.
Hey, the Bigfoot campers there.
Got this place fixed up all nice, and I've got this room, and it's all just really pretty. I've got all kinds of pictures of it, and I didn't even want to mess the bed up, so I literally put my bedding on top of the bedding with the cover pulled up and slept that way. I said I didn't want to mess anything up, so
yeah, y'all. But Misty, I've even got, look, if we got too overloaded, I mean, like I said, there's plenty of room at my house. We got extra bedroom or so over there. And I mean, I got 5 bedrooms at the house. We got 3.5 baths, 5 bedrooms. But hey, look, like my booger camper's out here too. My booger wagon. I mean, it sleeps
3.
Yeah. It's here in the yard. My camper.
You realize, like, when you say man cave, I can see, that it's way bigger than mine. Like, I don't even know. I've not measured my she shed. If I set a chair down at my desk, I may have like 2 foot to walk around.
Did Spencer leave?
Like an 8x10. He done sent me a text and he said, hold on, let me read it. He said, "Shut up, y'all, LOL, I gotta go."
Oh, Lord. He's done bailed on us.
He's gotta go.
We're not live anymore, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
we are.
It's still live.
Yeah.
It's been 2 hours and 49 minutes.
He's back. He's there. Look there.
There you come back.
We thought Booger got you.
Yeah,
I know where he
we
went.
do have to go. I've got stuff I've got to do too still yet.
Well, I just appreciate everybody hanging out for our craziness. And y'all, I mean, we keep saying it and we really do mean it that, got the best folks ever to hang out with and to come on here and listen to our craziness. And y'all just, like I said, from me to everybody, big love to all y'all. I mean, appreciate y'all.
And be careful in the woods.
Please. Yes, please.
Yes.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all including me tonight.
Oh, no. Thank you for doing it.
Well, I have questions. I'm the newbie here, and I was sitting back listening to Kumbo, and these questions were coming in. I need to ask him, but I had to pick my spot. So, where
did Kumbo go, by the way?
he's
off again.
He dipped out.
and getting ready for church.
He was tired. He's like, "Damn, it's been 3 hours. I gotta leave."
It ain't even midnight yet. We still got about 3 minutes.
I'm sorry, Roger. I didn't mean to cut you off. I was shutting my screen and just came back, and he was gone. So,
oh yeah.
If you don't come back, Kumbo, thank you very, very much.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's always having Kubo on here. It's always awesome.
I
wish everybody had the experience.
Do what, Greg?
I wish everybody could have had the experiences like me and Al's had going with Kumbo. I mean, y'all, we've had a lot of fun. Lots of fun going out with him.
I'm going to tell a story, and I probably shouldn't tell it real quick. The first night I ever went with Kumbo, Greg had been telling me about it. We went out with Kumbo on the other side of Decatur. And Greg had been telling me Kumbo is like, he gets excited real fast doing this.
He drives like a wild man.
Like a wild man.
Oh, yeah.
We're going back down through the woods, and who was with us?
It was Jimmy Osmond.
Jimmy Osmond. And we're going down through there, and Greg's following him. And all once we see Kumbo's new truck, he hadn't had his truck 2 months probably. We see the left side, the driver's side, wheels come about 2 foot off the ground. We go over a culvert, and Kumbo's probably running 25 or 30. If he'd been going any slower, he'd turned his truck over. The side of the road at the culvert drops off, and they drop off in the hole, and the truck comes up in the air, and I'm like, oh, shit. And it sets back down, and it's like nothing ever happened. They just keep going. And I look over at Greg, and Greg looks at me and is like, how in the hell did they not turn over?
I thought he'd flip, y'all. The grace of the good Lord pulled the back of his truck on the ground, because you could have, honestly, the bottom of the back tire was over waist high. The front of his truck, what it was, the culvert, the storm that evening had washed the culvert out, and you couldn't tell it. And when he went across that, what little bit of dirt was there just crumbled.
And it caved in.
And it caved off. And his truck looked like it stood on its nose. And I thought he had rolled his pickup. And if it just by the grace of the good Lord that his truck didn't roll off the side of that mountain.
That was the very first night I'd ever been out with Kumbo.
Yeah.
Greg had been with him before. That is the same night the Dodge pickup.
Yeah, that was the same night. The reason the trees were in the road that we had to go over, and then the guy jumped over. It was because we had tornadoes that evening, and then me and Al, after the tornadoes came through, we went and met Kumbo and Jimmy Osmer at Big Bob Gibson's barbecue in Decatur, and then we went up on the Wheeler Wildlife Refuge boogering, and that was
exciting night.
It was exciting and eventful journey that evening. But everywhere we went that night, we had booger activity. I mean, we didn't go a long way, and I mean, Coonbo's house to where we to Decatur is probably 30 minutes, and it's about 30 minutes from here to Decatur. So we didn't have to go far. Because we are, no joke, we're going to have to get off here. So we'll be here with daylight.
Oh,
Yep.
I'm sure.
And y'all, how many people still hung in here with us this long? How was it, show?
David Hughes. Hey, Spencer, is David Hughes our bourbon buddy?
Yes, he's one of them.
Yeah.
What is
That's what
that?
I've been sipping on, David. A little Noah's meal tonight.
I never had Noah's meal.
Hey, it's 114. Really, really good.
Wow.
If we get to meet up, I'll bring some down.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, we got, Roger, we've got hooked on that benchmark. Man, benchmark's wonderful.
Yeah,
That's pretty good.
you know they've got single barrel benchmark and this other stuff. I never got to try it. They got like 4 different. I don't know what they are, but I would. Benchmark's pretty daggone good.
Yeah, you know that thing about it. If you look on the benchmark label, it's made by Buffalo Trace.
Oh yeah, yep. And then I don't know. Somebody had an idea to come out with a little more premium benchmark, but y'all know how hard that stuff is to find. Anything from Buffalo Trace.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Yes.
Well, like here, you have to go to the state store. State Alabama, you know, we got their own liquor store, so you have to go there. And dude, if you find even like benchmark, you better, if you want it, you better buy whatever they'll let you have or you can get.
I found 2 bottles of Antique 107 in the old bottle at is it Windmill Liquors?
Yeah, Decatur.
Yeah. There's one in Madison.
Yeah.
One in Decatur. The person that was with me, it was limit 1. And I sent them in there and said, hey, go in and buy that for me. Here's some money. But it was cheap because, you know, they were but anyway. I'm done.
The one in Coleman usually has. I work in Birmingham, and it's hard to find in Birmingham. But every time I come
Al, I love you, but shut up.
Spencer's texting me.
Spencer's about to stroke out.
All right.
Hey, next time we'll
I'm
tell
sorry.
like Greg said, some life stories.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
We'll talk about. I like to call them war stories.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll tell you about times I've been shot at and all that goodness.
We got to go.
Yeah.
Love y'all.
The bullets, they kind of throw
Everybody.
you know. So.
Thanks for
Big
joining
love, guys.
us.
See y'all.
We're doing a show tomorrow. Love you guys.
We're doing a show tomorrow.
Stay weird, freaks. Bye, y'all.